weeks and weeks of play have led to this moment.
Playoffs is back and we have some surprises in store for you.
Absolute chills.
Everybody so low for SR peak check. Cookie!
There's a reason that Cookie was touted as the best soldier in EMEA.
Saints play this beautifully. The bomb sticks mid-air.
You gotta have supreme confidence in yourself.
There is so much to fight for, and I am stoked to see how it's going to really pan out.
I love this when the fight is dire, when players recognize when they must make a play. Oh my lord!
I am so damn excited.
This is absolutely spicy.
Only one team gets to come away from this alive. Now it's about their name. It's about their legacy. Know when to take that risk, when to bet it all.
The Overwatch Contenders Summer Series playoffs continue right now.
A championship title is approaching. We have our final two teams to battle it out, as it's going to be as you see below. WISP versus Saints. Get your predictions in, Kenobi. I am absolutely, if I were sitting on the edge of my seat, but I'm standing, so I can't be. But yes, it is going to be one I think that we've all been truly waiting for, and both these teams as well.
I mean, this feels like a very close matchup, and history and the lore of this season kind of dictate that this is going to be a very close matchup between these two teams. I mean, you can already look at the standings coming in from the round robin. 8-3 for both of these teams, separated only by a singular map. That's always the difference. And then it's the same thing going into the bracket stage when we look at it. That map fiver between both of these teams, Saints almost getting the reverse sweep. It is important to know that this reverse sweep, or potential reverse sweep in the 5-game series, happened at a time last week where Saints hadn't necessarily committed solely onto Vision. It was more King, coming in, playing something like the Torbjorn, playing something like the Genji. Now it feels like Saints, with the addition of Vision, like more into the lineup, look like a really different team, I think, than they were going like in that series. And we heard from Vega as well. Like Vega talks about how, maybe there were some things where they weren't feeling as comfortable. They want to play him now where everyone's kind of like, chill in their vibes. Everything settled down. So this is a team that I think for Saints, again, as they're looking for this run back, they feel like now they have those ingredients all set to bake an incredible cake.
And it's almost reminiscent from what we've been able to see from Collegiate, where Vision is this ace in the hole, the change-up, that dynamic that comes in with the Symmetra that we saw later on when they really needed to bring it to the forefront, and I have a feeling that might be the same instance that we see competing against WISP. But we can talk a little bit more about WISP specifically as we look at their roster. And again, these names we've seen, we know, we got to interview, and we are absolutely ready to see them perform, Kenobi.
And I think the thing about this WISP team that makes them so interesting and that makes them so deadly is this kind of three-headed dragon that they have in their DPS line, where it's Chopper, Rocket, and Sunjun. And the biggest part about that is that like Sunjun has been so flexible, like going over to that flex support role, playing some things like the Illari, offering a little bit more of that fragging potential. And then you still have Rocket and Chopper, who have been playing together forever, who look extremely good as a duo. But when you bring in Sunjun into the lineup instead of someone like Rocket or Chopper, they still look just as clean and coordinated as before. So I think that this team is really poised to take it to Saints again in a close series.
Yeah, it's almost effortless in the transition from their play, going from the support, then to the DPS, and summing in. And it's really quite spectacular to see how fluid it is. And like you had touched on to Chopper as well, what we saw yesterday was a hell of a performance from them across the board, in addition to also seeing the scariness that is the Genji. But we can also take a look at their opponent. We already got a glimpse of them earlier in a very 3-0 convincing fashion. And they are coming off of a win where they are fired up. As we talk to Vega, they are ready to go, primed and loaded to be able to take this grand finals and repeat another season's victory.
Yeah, I mean, did we really get a glimpse of them? It felt like, because I mean, it was
That's
short.
True.
It was a blink
and it was gone.
When we saw this team play, I mean, they looked like it was a complete and utter domination over Pirates and Pajamas, never really letting Pirates and Pajamas back into the series whatsoever. And Saints now, interesting start for them. We're seeing Mikey in the lineup. We heard it from Vega a little bit. Mikey and also False are the kind of the main coordinators of this team. And Mikey, even though like has been a little bit, out of this meta in terms of like being more so the Winston players than anything else, Mikey's still got that dog in him, right? Mikey is still like someone who played in the Overwatch League Grand Finals last year, taking Dallas to 7 maps. Like, you gotta still respect Mikey's ability to play this game.
And we're going the distance potentially with an even further map. We have been able to channel our mojo as best as we can to be able to bring you a 7 map. Maybe out of the kindness of our hearts, even an 8 if we get a draw in there from what we had yesterday.
Gotta get everyone the skins.
Gotta get everyone the skins. That's right. I was gonna say, what'd you get? Maybe 5% from that last series? Maybe 5, 10-ish?
I mean, I have mine
Let's
already,
hope
so
more than that.
I'm all good. But everyone in chat who's like desperate to get them, and this is their last chance. So if you got friends who want that Mercy skin, better get them in here right now, because this is going to be your last chance to be able to get that skin. It's the last chance for both of these teams to secure their crown here in NA Contenders. To start things off here, our first map has been picked in this best of 7. Antarctic Peninsula starts things off.
The frigid wastelands, it might seem, but there is a lot of action and liveliness entering onto this control map, and it'll be really interesting to see which of the sub-maps we go on first, and also more so cycling back to the topic of this 76. We had Chopper yesterday being able to play with such proficiency on it, and then also the big thing too is we're talking about dual ability, that there was a couple of separate occasions where it's a 2v1, Chopper comes out on top, or even if they do lose their life, the value is being gained by eliminating a support or both supports. So that's something I'm so looking forward to compete against what they're going to have specifically against Saints, who, mind you, we've already just seen with Vision and Sam being brought to the forefront, doing so much for this team, and is really going to put them to the test.
And I think this is a map that we saw played. This was the map 5, actually, Antarctic Peninsula, that we saw in the previous series between these two teams. And interestingly enough, that was false on tank instead of Mikey. So Mikey coming into this, like, is there some, like, kind of ace up the sleeve right now? Because WISP hasn't seen this on our Antarctic Peninsula yet. You know, maybe in Scrim something like that has happened, but this is a completely different Saints roster without, you know, King in it, without False in it. Now it's Mikey and Vision. So is this kind of a trump card that Saints is going to throw at this WISP team to start them out on the wrong foot and give that momentum already to Saints, who have, after that first series we saw of the day, plenty of it in spades?
Yeah, and again, we know that Mikey is such a proficient player. The question, too, for me at least, is also, you know, being in the wings, kind of watching, observing, you know, trying to heat up and warm up right now going into this. Is there going to be some subtle disjointedness? I don't believe there will be, but those are small, minor factors. When it comes to a grand final situation like this, is it that ace up the hole, or is there going to be some wiggle room? Because we have seen that talked about from WISP specifically with their interview. They knew going into the control map specifically, they started off a little slow. They had some challenges. They had to really adapt within the moment versus that, you know, second and third round to start gaining their bearings. And when you're talking about a team that just played as convincingly, you're going to potentially have to think about the longevity of starting to adapt to this, and also realizing that this is different from the form at which that they faced previously earlier in the playoff bracket, which is already so strictly close between one another.
Yeah, I mean, it's already like a long series, right? 7 maps, you have a lot of time to adapt, but it's also a kind of a scenario where if you're Saints and you just win the first 2 off the trot, first 3 off the trot, then all the momentum is in your favor, and reverse sweeping from a 3-0, obviously the math would dictate, much harder than like reverse sweeping from like a 2-0, right? It is a completely different beast to be able to come back into a map like that. I mean, it hasn't happened too much in the history of Overwatch. The one I can think of off the top of my head is when in the Melee in Season 3, Seoul were up 3-0, Shanghai subbed in Fearless plays Winston, completely just overtakes the series, and they reverse sweep. That is like the one time I can really remember a reverse sweep happening in that kind of aspect
capacity,
like this. And capacity. And for Saints versus WISP here, I mean, this first matchup will be very interesting again because of the fact that this is a different type of Saints that we saw last time we saw them on this Antarctic Peninsula.
And it'll lay the foundation. And I'm hoping that WISP did some jumping jacks before, like sitting by their PCs just getting themselves warmed up, like, let's go, like, we got it. They did.
I would imagine they had some sort of like warm-up games. Like, there's no way they're coming into this super cold. I would hope. I would really hope that's how it is.
And, you know, to help channel, as we mentioned earlier, the extension of how long this series could go, we need all of you in chat to start channeling that energy. Give those predictions. 1 for WISP, 2 for Saints. Let us know your insight. And again, as we already mentioned, tell your friends you got to get the skin. And even if they don't want it, tell them to get here anyways. Like, doesn't matter. Like, make sure you watch it. I mean, realistically, come on, let's have that happen.
I mean, yeah, it's free skins. Like, why do you not want that? Like, or just tell your friends.
Free.
It's literally free. We're giving it to you for free. All you have to do is just watch Contenders. I mean, it feels like It's like a pretty good deal to me, Rich. I don't know about you. I mean,
I think that's pretty good.
It felt pretty good when I was watching EMEA earlier and crossing my fingers. I bet everyone in chat is also crossing their fingers that we get a 7-map banger series so that we can guarantee ourselves a Mercy skin for everyone in chat who was watching from the start. But just waiting for some players to get ready, get into that lobby before we start things off. Want to make sure that we get everyone perfectly situated because it is the grand finals. It is a best of 7, and it's the last match of the season.
Oh, just you saying that. It's poetic. It's like we've been waiting for this moment, but it's also, starting to hit like that real emotional nerve for me. Like, to who's going to be the crown champion? Are we going to see a back-to-back title winning Saints, or is WISP going to be able to come back on top? Being able to rectify what had happened in that spring season where they were the #1 seed. They were the dominant force going into playoffs. They had an unfortunate turn of events in the upper bracket, then instantaneously, it might have seemed, lost in the lower bracket. So this is a long run redemption for them to be able to take down this team of Saints.
Yeah, whichever, like whoever wins, the story is just great. It's either the 2-time champ for the Saints or it's WISP kind of getting that redemption, right? Like where you talked about it first. Getting knocked out into 5th, 6th, like that was heartbreaking for that WISP team, and they all kind of think about it now as like, we need to win this for what happened last season, right? We need to be able to take this victory. They're going up against Saints. They've beaten them before in the bracket. The Saints looking like a completely different beast right now. As we start things off, make sure to get your chat predictions. 1 for WISP, 2 for Saints. It's all to play for as we start the grand finals right now, Rich.
Doors opening, Centaur v Centaur charging to the initial high ground position to see who will get the initial advantage, and there is a subtle difference between the DPS lineup.
There's also a difference between the support lineup as well. Sunjun is going to be on that Zenyatta, so Discord Orb is going to be incredibly scary to deal with, but also what's scary is Sam on this Bastion just pumping out so much damage. Nice Javelin to get Wisp away, but Saints being very aggressive right now.
Yeah, it buys just enough time for Sam to be able to lose the damage to get the elimination after the turret is there. Squid now having to flee once again, but the tank configuration active, forcing back all of WISP, and Saints coming out blazing. Vision gets the pickup, and it is a snowball of white kill in the feed.
I mean, you can see Chopper was just on the flank trying to do their best and pump out damage, but they get only 7%, 6% of this point, and will Chopper even get out of this one alive? Looks like he will be able to do so, but Wisp wholesale swaps from them in terms of this composition.
Yeah.
They want to start matching that tempo because they know with their previous composition, they didn't have a Lucio, so now with Lucio, Kiriko, and also this Junker Queen, you have much more tempo and rocket on their patented Tracer. How is this going to be working out for the Wisp to enter into this fight?
Patented Tracer, but is really getting denied. Javelin at first, a big body shot as well. Rocket needs to be very cognizant of how focused Saints are right now, and they are hitting their shots on all accounts, whether it be hit scan or projectile. Though, as I say hit scan and projectile, Chopper comes in tenfold to take down Vega. Loss of the utility. Icy drops in with a Junker Queen, quite separated, walking into the Waking Arms, but that's a great pincer maneuver with that reposition by Icy to draw attention away for Chopper to get the firing rate onto both Sam, and now gains another onto Vision, and Chopper is legitimately cutting the opponents down to size.
I really love the decision making from Wisp there, being able to just like kind of juggle that point and give time for Chopper to get those rail shots, specifically with Rocket. As soon as the Lucio gets taken down, that means no one from Saints is able to juggle that point, and with the Tracer, Wisp can kind of just stay there, so then Saints have to drop off. So does the Bastion right into the waiting arms of a Junker Queen. That was greatly positioned by Wisp. Have a pulse bomb to work with, but Saints have a couple of ultimates themselves.
TP active, beautiful evasion when it comes out to the pulse bomb. Did not land fast enough to get the damage before they maneuver across that catwalk. Now Rocket going in again. Spear spin gets the elimination onto Icy, denying them away from it. The Kitsune Rush can't really do too much on the point for now since they've got this reposition, but Tree and Vision were brought down in this. So now Wisp going to be able to swap this back over. Has the ultimate online though for Saints from Sam. Gonna get clocked instantly by that, and now gonna look to continue climbing in percent.
I mean, Chopper is really, really popping off right now on this Sojourn. I mean, has all these sightlines to work with. There's no one really also that can get to Chopper, right? Unless Saints are able to just TP onto the backline, Chopper is going to be so strong in terms of just being able to farm these rails from that high ground and gets them for free because there's no shielding or anything to deal with. So Whisper in a great position, especially now with the sound barrier, the match that's coming in from Saints.
with 0 deaths, mind you. Completely dodges out of that. Nice pull on the Terror Surge. The Rampage across the backside, strictly hitting onto Tree. Vision is blown up out the gate, right off the rip from the Rampage, as everyone from Saints is so dangerously low. And Chopper again now with the overclock in a target practice range. Definitely warmed up out the get-go.
I mean, Chopper is just absolutely unreal right now for Wisp. Can Saints get anyone to this point? Vision not going to get there themselves. No TP, and that's going to be that. And that sub-map was a Chopper masterclass. 13 limbs, 11 final blows, zilch on the deaths. That was all Chopper all the way. And Saints got to figure out a way to get to Chopper. Like, if the TP's not working, you need to find a way to match.
Yep, and the thing was, is we were just talking so heavily about how Pip wasn't really able to gain on Division. Ooh. It almost feels the same. Ooh, okay, 61-39. All right, Wisp fans right now, you're a little bit outmatched, at least in predictions, but out the gate, at least they look pretty good. But, you know, back to that point I was making, we talked a little bit about Pip, but now it feels the same way, where they have to react and somehow deny Chopper this value.
And Saints is a team that is, like, very capable at reacting, right? In these scenarios where they can change it up whenever they want. They have so much versatility in their hero pools that they can change that. As Wisp now coming in a little bit of a different comp here. Chopper, though, still going to be rocking that Sojourn. I mean, if it ain't broke yet, don't fix it. Make them force you off of it instead. There is a lot more of that sustained damage coming in from Saints, so tank matchup is going to be a little bit more tricky for Icy, and the flanking potential is much higher for Saints here.
Mikey sticking onto the high ground for now. Nice elimination onto the pylon. That's a good 12 seconds of reduced healing. They're going to get Sunjun also eliminating the turret, so they've lost both of the active abilities on this frontline engagement. Trading amongst this small room. Icy, dangerously low, finally brought down by Vision, who is keeping distance and getting a great sightline, instantly pushing back Wisp.
I mean, Chopper does take down Tree, and Vision actually goes down too. This is being traded back and forth, and without Tree, it's only Vega for heals, and that's not going to be enough to keep them alive.
Nope, you can just see Sam hiding behind the pillar, hoping and praying that they were just able to stand long enough to potentially get somebody back, but this is now going to be an easy take back here for Wisp with their recovery.
I mean, Chopper just randomly finding that headshot onto Tree completely turned that fight around, because again, with this composition and with the Lucio, yes, you gain a lot of that tempo, but once the Baptiste is dead, you have no semblance of healing to keep the rest of your members alive, and with Wisp's backline, it's more so that you can lose one of them because the other's healing output is enough to be able to keep those members up and in the fight.
Routing towards the coastal area, diving instantly onto Chopper, knowing that is so the focus. Oh my, I'm sorry, you in that lab, and you better sit and do some math to realize that that was not the right calculation and positioning, and completely overrun. 32% still being gained, though, by Wisp. Sunjun with the captive Sun, but Squid's down. This is going to be very dangerous, and it will be, unfortunately, a swap over, but still able to accrue a decent amount of percent.
And I think for Wisp, I mean, they need to know that Chopper can't really be left alone on these side angles, right? You need either Squid or Sunjun there with you, because Chopper can just get run on by the Lucio and by the Orisa. Great decision making from Saints, knowing that Chopper is a little bit out by themselves. Send Vega and Mikey, get that kill, and then go back to the fight and win. And Wisp, I mean, use both their support ultimates in that fight, don't end up winning it. And Sunjun going down over to the Lucio now just to try and match that ability to have some tempo with that speed, but so far behind in terms of that sound burn.
And they also want to make sure that they give every ounce of assistance to Chopper as they round that high ground position. The Terror Surge pulls them in. Squid is dangerously low, has the immortality field, but Sam comes in with the molten lava, melting the feet underneath Rocket, with Tree following up in assistance, but Icy comes back in with retaliation themselves. Chopper gets 2. The overclock is active, and despite that one death, they're still counting those E-limbs.
I mean, imagine having so much trust in your DPS that you use your Terror Surge at 50 health, get that shielding, get everyone in an enclosed area, and the overclocks just rip through Saints there in a fight that looked like it was completely in their back pocket. Now Wisp, again, have control of these sightlines to work with. Vision's going to have this tactical visor to work with, so they can use it to create that space and force Chopper away.
Back visor active, chasing down Sunjun along the wall. That's a great opportunity now to lose some of that utility. Rocket also being sent back. This is a great chance now for Saints to come back into this. It's only a minor percentage gain here for Wisp to surpass them, and can look to lean into a potential final fight.
Oh, and if you're Wisp, you don't want to be taken down here. These picks could be very disastrous, especially because this is most likely final fight between both these teams with where the percentages are. Tree coming up towards that Ant Matrix. That is going to be a key ultimate to match the one coming in from Squid. But again, you got to be looking at Sunjun. Sunjun needs to find a way to stay alive long enough to get Sound Barrier. Sound Barrier wins this fight for Wisp.
Couple of really great javelins coming in by Mikey specifically, holding strong here. Chopper and Icy being pushed back and in dangerous health values. Rocket, though, eliminating the turret, gives them an opportunity and a little bit more open space to work through on this flanking position. Spear Spin battling against each other as a double window across the center field. The arena is not yet being stepped into until those dissipate. Overtime is active, 99 in favor of Saints. Can they finally get the elimination onto Tree? There's the Immortality Field. Vega and Tree sticking close, but because they're helping one another, Sam gets low. Vega gets a counter pick, though. Rocket is no longer in the back harassing. The frontal momentum by Icy, peeking the corner, sticking it into contention. They're gonna pause, though, I believe.
No.
Maybe a disconnect of some sort. That is unfortunately not what you want to see in a moment as tense as this.
I mean, my eyes are just glued directly onto the Sound Barrier. I'm just looking at Sunjun, looking at his health bar, and just wondering, like, what is happening with this Sound Barrier? Like, when's it going to be used? How is it going to be used? Because it feels like there have been moments where it could have been thrown out and they just be aggressive, but maybe they don't know exactly what Saints' ultimate economy is like in a scenario like this. So that Sound Barrier, again, I talked about how it could just win the map for them. Wisp are figuring out a way to try and maneuver that one in the fight, because Saints, I mean, realistically looking at their ultimate charge, Vega like 70% towards Sound Barrier. Mikey's got the Terra Surge. Sam is dead, but it's close to Molten Core. Like, it is a winnable scenario for Saints. They can chew through a lot of that Sound Barrier damage, but it's going to be, I would be very worried actually if I'm Sunjun, and I think there's been a couple of times where Sunjun has got taken down to like 50 health, and like, you can't Sound Barrier there, because Ajax is the worst thing that could happen right now.
Yep, very, very reasonable for it to happen when you're at that health value. It looks like it is going to be a Chopper DC, so that's also one of those things you have to weigh on here, since you do have that disconnect. Now looking to try and get back in this overtime, down a player, but the big thing that's at least in their favor is the fact that since Wisp already has at least the first map advantage, if this does go away from them due to this unforeseen predicament, they at least have another attempt in that third round, as it looks like we're gaining final confirmation that they are reconnected. We will gain this on pause, and hopefully there is an opportunity that maybe Wisp can come back into this with the reconnection. Up front javelin from Mikey onto Icy, dropping down below. Fortify no longer available, but the Spear Spin being held onto to mitigate that flow of damage onto the point. The overtime has been extensively drawn out, so the faster this goes, it will vanish in front of their eyes as they almost actually swap it over. Mikey continuing to pitter-patter back and forth is actually giving it over potentially to Wisp, but the kills have not come through. Sunjun holding onto it. Icy and Rocket back online here with the ultimate so that they can try and contribute something into this. An ebb and flow here. The pulse bomb goes wide. Sunjun gets the barrier just in time, but Rocket's the only one to the outskirts. Does not have the recall. Icy goes down. Saints are pulling it off, and they push them back.
I mean, it feels like they just Wisp, like, were just so hesitant, right? The Sound Barrier just not being able to be used, and just great presence of mind from Saints to just buy time, right? That was the biggest thing for them. They had control of the point, they had all the positioning to work with, and they bought time for the Molten Core. They bought time for Vega to get the Sound Barrier of their own. Like, that was just really good presence of mind for Saints to just use that positioning and macro advantage to really just dare Wisp to come at them and say, like, if you're gonna, you know, it's all on you. You guys have to make that first move, and if you wait too long, we're gonna have our ultimates to be able to use on you. So I think Saints played that really good at the end here, and now 1-to-1 going over to Icebreaker. See if there's any swaps from both of these teams. Is Symmetra going to be played significantly here? Looks like it's not going to be for Wisp, but Saints bringing it to the table. We saw Vision and how good Vision is on this. Not the necessarily same amount of long-range damage with the DPS of Wisp, but if you walk in and you're Icy right here, you need to be super careful because you will get beamed down by a Symmetra.
And the positional advantage is in favor of Saints because of that Symmetra, and you can see that Wisp wasn't quite ready. They placed that pylon very far forward, which was punished. Rocket, though, able to counteract the aggression forward. Vision and Tree, and the rest of the dominoes fall. Wisp instantly take advantage of that aggression.
What a huge pick. I mean, they're taking down Vision that early in the fight. And Vision, like, the whole point of being that aggressive is Vision is able to, you know, stay in that fight very long, charge up that Plasma Blaster, but unfortunately, with him getting taken down so early, you just don't have any DPS left for your team, and that's a very easy win for Wisp, who now have control of this point, start taking up their percentage in all the sightlines, which is going to be great for their DPS.
Swapping it over. Looking to take it right up from under their noses. It will be allowed to be given over, but Chopper with a beautiful Helix rocket onto Tree again. Leaves everything to Vega, but Sam, the adjustment, the Genji. We've talked about how significant this can be, and at least is able to punish. Pushing back onto the point now, 13% and climbing. Wisp, even though they've given ground, are still being able to start taking this fight back. Sam can't quite get enough value, though, to counteract it.
And I mean, again, it's just a pick at the start that is completely wrecking Saints' chances of winning right here. Their Chopper is on a huge flank after the TP comes in, is able to take down Tree, who, we talk about it so much, if Baptiste dies in this comp, there's not enough healing to keep you alive throughout the rest of it.
You can see all the way in the distance, Chopper playing that off angle. Opts to go towards the engine room to see if they can get that flanking maneuver. Punishing instantly onto Tree. Immortality Field is already forced out. Great reaction. But there's a jab. Deflected the Javelin onto Squid. I would love to see that firsthand, as Sam now has absolutely gained the advantage onto Wisp, turning about face and saying, no, 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 do not misjudge me.
I mean, that's not something I've seen before, a deflect Javelin kill like that. I mean, Sam really comes in clutch in that fight, because it looked like it was very scary for Wisp, especially with the Captive Sun from Sunjun that hit 4 people. Now Saints, again, have control. They can set up vision with this symmetric, keep all those turrets up, as actually Sam has noticed a flank, but again, Vision's taken down. Chopper gets another kill on the flank.
Oh, Chopper again, really, okay, well, that was quick work. Sam at least made of it. Diving in onto the supports, you can see that there is actually a faster fall rate coming in from Squid to elude the second slash, and didn't even have to force out the defensive. So now you have Wisp re-entering in onto this, but Rocket and Icy are down. Mikey's holding ground and being able to keep not only this point, but dominate into the fight.
Yeah, I mean, that was really heads up by Sam. Just like insta-killing that soldier, knowing that they can take him away from that side angle. Chopper's not going to be in the fight, and then going over to the supports. Even though he gets taken down so early, he has a lot of barrier from the Lucio sound barrier, just forces them back, and then the healing isn't there for the rest of the team fight while Mikey is using that Terror Surge. So good heads up play from Sam as Wisp. Coming back into this one. Rocket just going back over to their signature Tracer. I mean, there's no Torbjorn on the other side, so it's going to be a little bit easier to play, but still going to be difficult to pilot.
Look at the movement here. It's going to be both Vega and Sam working as a unit, attempting to find a flanking angle. Icy getting overwhelmed and pushed back, but Chopper with a tactical visor barely eludes the sphere that comes in from the choke point from Vision on the side wall. And there's all 3 turrets. Is Chopper going to look for this again? Taking an off angle, 5% to go. Active, looking for the flank. Can't quite find a clear sight line, especially with the deflecting Genji. Sam getting so low and actually weathers the storm, but there's a 1-for-1 trade. Gets close enough to the turret, and now the follow-up is going to continue to pursue. Saints are looking to overwhelm and take this initial map of control. A swap almost comes through by Wisp onto the point, but only ever so slightly. They come up short until they finally grasp it. They forced back Saints.
Yeah, they force him back. I mean, Mikey goes down too from the Captive Sun. The Sunburst takes him down, and in a fight that looked like it was started off so well, Sam did a great job guarding away from that tactical visor. It's brought back in by a great Captive Sun coming in from Sunjun, and now, Rich, it's last fight territory. We talked about this being a dog fight between both these teams. It could go all 7. It's the last fight here for both of them. Rocket, the signature Pulse Bomb available to him. Can he find someone in the backline, or even just force out Immortality Field would be great.
Oh, look at the harassment
Missed.
by Rocket in the back. Doesn't land it. That's so unfortunate. That's what Wisp needed to help look to lead into this. The transition across the point, looking for a flanking angle. Sam being countered again. Sunjun, that's actually the support partially out of the fight here. They don't have enough healing, but you're actually going to see Saints buckling under the pressure. It's Wisp taking the advantage. They're pushing them off the plank and looking to throw them overboard with an entire team kill as this first map goes in favor of Wisp.
Wisp scrape and claw their way to a map 1 victory. I mean, Chopper played absolutely out of his skull piece throughout the entirety of this map. 31 limbs, 19 final blows, didn't necessarily get the deadlift, but oh boy, Chopper on that Sojourn making it work incredibly well, and it's still so crazy to me that we're seeing this Wisp team still opting in to Tracer. That just proves how good Rocket is at it. Like, Rocket just knows how to maneuver around these compositions that are usually very difficult for Tracers to maneuver around, and with the recent nerfs to Tracer and how the compositions have changed recently, the fact that he's still here, still pulling off 1-clips like this, shows how good he is.
And to build on that even further, there were several occasions, specifically on this sub-level, where Rocket was getting very heavily punished on the Tracer. The javelins, the body shots, the damage, the forcing of the recalls, and even through all of that, still able to persevere and get those 1 clips. And it's so commendable to their performance, and overall WISP, even though this being very, very close, still able to come back strong.
But I mean, Rich, God, if that's all we have for map 1, like, I hope this feels like a 7-gamer for me. I hope we, like, have our voodoo going. I hope this is going to be just like EMEA and how good it was, but I think WISP did a really good job in this Icebreaker map in particular, dealing with, like, the high tempo of Saints. Like, Saints were really trying to just go as a 5-man unit with the Lucio, rush onto the backline, but Chopper, with the flanks in particular, just when they went as 5 in TP, Chopper's just like, sick, I'm behind all of you, I'm shooting at you, I'm hitting rockets, I'm gonna be able to break that entire aggression he wants to have.
And that's why I wanted to bring up that talking point with you towards the beginning of this when we look at the roster. Chopper was so scary yesterday on the 76 and even further on the Genji, and as this continues to progress, that's something that Saints are really going to have to start gaining control over and denying, because like you said, that last one, the way that they played it, Chopper on this constant flank, moving through engine room, finding that doorway angle up towards the bow, all of these different positions that they're working at, and even like the patience and understanding when the deflect comes through, taking the matchup between Sam, all of those micro dynamics, the fundamental understanding of this and how well they're able to execute on it, alongside Rocket, which again, you've very much highlighted, everything's just coming so fluidly together, and Icy still leading the helm with that Orisa.
Yeah, I mean, Icy talked about it yesterday in the in the interview. Orisa's like the easiest character, right? It's just the easiest character. I just left click, throw my javelin, spin my spear, and then that's all I do, right? Like, Orisa is kind of a fragger. You can be a fragger. Like, we've seen, I think someone is an example of like how impactful Orisas can be, like, in those matchups. Strider also, who we saw earlier in the tournament, I think also is kind of indicative of that. But for that WISP team, I mean, they just having that stalwart presence of Icy, who is just like, such a veteran of the scene, being able to pick up this Orisa now, being able to kind of lead this team into a grand finals against Saints, kind of, I would say, they're rivals now throughout the entirety of this bracket. Like, I think that the entire team is playing incredibly well, and now, as we go over to some of these other maps, do we see some swaps from the squad? Like, it is going to be Midtown as our next map, but is Sunjun going to be staying on the Yari? Like, how are we going to be rocking with the DPS lineup? Is False going to come back into the lineup? Like, these are questions that are going to fundamentally change how it worked from that first map to this Midtown map.
Well, and I want to dial back just a touch, specifically when you mentioned about Icy, because the dynamic of that interview was also interesting in saying, because there is still some of the straightforward nature mechanically when it comes to the Orisa, it opens up the dynamic for more of this focusing on pre-fight discussion topics, understanding how they enter into the fights, and having a little bit more of a grounded foundation in how they want to take these exchanges functionality-wise. And it's so great to see it as we do get confirmation that there is going to be a change up here and there will be a swap in.
There's going to be False coming into the lineup, which makes sense, especially if we're going to be going to a map where Sigma does have some viability, right? High ground control, very important, but something I'm interested in on the other side is Riker's going to come in instead of Icy. Icy's been very good so far, but Riker, I mean, that Winston in Midtown still can get some value. I mean, the high ground control is very good. If they're going to continue to just play more of Rocket on that Tracer, pairing it with that Winston could still cause a lot of damage. It's just going to be how are they going to be able to keep the Winston alive if the Winston's going to be the thing. Riker could still, like, obviously play like Winston. I think that's, or Orisa, that is something that, like, remember with Icy saying that anybody can kind of play it, right? It's a very easy hero to play. But I mean, the Winston wrinkle, Winston's not completely dead yet. That's the thing that I think is interesting about this chain.
It's really not. And this is where Kenobi, the chess game begins. I lead with a pawn. You lead with a pawn. I now bring my knight. I look for the exchange between my castle and king. It's all these little methodical plays. I forget what that actual action's called, but I'm not a big chess player. Well, I play chess, but I just don't know the terms. But yes, it really has becoming that kind of, gameplay with the subs that we're going to bring into this, and also the map as a whole, because we mentioned this when it came to seeing Midtown previously. This isn't really a map that's as heavily drawn to. It's mostly Numbani or Eichenwald. Those have been the tried and true that teams like to lean into more heavily. So with this being another opportunity to see Midtown, because we saw some full holds and then some fuller holds on this one specifically, with most recent play, and a Lifeweaver coming out as well. So.
I don't know if we'll see the Lifeweaver Bastion. I mean, that was something that was, I think Team Peps were cooking, and that was unique to I mean, maybe, you never know. It's a grand final. If there was ever a time to bring an ace up your sleeve like that composition, it would be now. So never say never with teams like this, especially with all these players having such high versatility in their hero pools. But again, with Riker coming in, it does kind of interest me what the play is going to be here. Is there going to be Reinhardt? I think is also an option you could bring. Because Riker, during, I would say, the main part of the group stages, when it was the Winston composition, it was mostly Riker on the Winston. Now, is there going to be that swap? Is it still going to be Winston? Is Saints even ready to see a Winston? Because how many teams are scrimming? Winston's not really kind of been, has been taken out of the meta. I know some people are, very happy about that, because Winston feels like it's been arguably the most important hero in Overwatch 2 since it's come out, but it is something that now with this shift and change, does Riker bring that to the table? Is it viable? Or is it just, we want to have that option, but Riker can still play Orisa, and then, we're totally fine, matching what the standard is currently?
And it's the variety that, again, is something that they really want to lean into. And I like that because, again, when you're in this type of position, granted you're a map up, you have a long run opportunity with it being now a 1st to 4 versus 1st to 3 within this position, that you can maybe play a little bit more risky. Not to the point of where, you're just throwing it to the wind and saying, hey, we're just going to try this because we can. It's calculated. It has strategy behind it. And I'm really excited to see what that's going to actually formulate and what the outcome's going to be when they do come out on this attack and defense.
I think the other thing that is interesting too is that they aren't switching up the DPS lineup at all. It is still going to be Chopper and Rocket. Sunjun is still going to be the one on that flex support role. So that's something that we've kind of seen sometimes they change a little bit with, where they'll bring in Neb for Circuit Royale, I think is something that we've seen Neb come on, where it's usually Sunjun and Chopper is the DPS line we sometimes see. I think the last time that we saw them play, it was on Eichenwald, I believe. Or no, Numbani.
I believe Eichenwald.
Numbani was the second map, and Neb was in playing Iliari. So, again, differences between two of these teams. Riker did come on and play on that Numbani, but that's a map where I'm just hey, Winston pretty good here, and did play a little bit of that Sigma as well. So, I think this is an interesting wrinkle that maybe the Saints aren't ready for, especially keeping Sunjun in the lineup. I think that's the biggest thing that I would say.
Yeah, because I believe Neb also was able to potentially play a little bit of the Baptiste too. It was interchangeable between Squid and Neb. So again, there's that versatility that can be brought, but not here specifically. So I agree with it as well. As it looks like we're going to give these teams a little bit more time. So we will be heading on to a short break for a moment to make sure that they are secured and ready to go. Because again, grand finals, you don't want to have any pitfalls. We already had a DC, can't have any more. So don't go anywhere, my friends, as we'll be back in just a moment.
There are days I will always remember, when the sun and the world were bright. Solar energy filled all our needs, but only a few could bring the sun's power into themselves. These were the Inti warriors, but we call them the children of the sun. They aided our people in so many ways, as providers, healers, and in times of danger, our protectors. I was always told I would become a warrior, a big responsibility, but I had a gift that could help my people. So, I trained. At last came the day they said I was ready to join their ranks and embrace the sun. There are days I will always remember. Was it my fault that no one knew the true extent of my power? To this day, I still don't understand what I did wrong. But it doesn't matter anymore. I will make up for what I've done. Because I am Iliari, and I am the last child of the sun.
Are you tired of your teammates holding you back from greatness? Ready to seize the initiative, hit shift, and super jump up the ranks? Or become the envy of support players on every map, game, and round? Well, get ready to take flight with the brand new Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin. Each Mercy skin comes with a brand new, hand-painted, handcrafted, free-range, organic, non-GMO, and side effect-free Valkyrie battlesuit, so you can be in style as you beam up your team. And when your Caduceus stuff isn't enough, there's always the Caduceus Blaster! In order to earn your wings, connect your Battle.net account to Twitch and tune in during the Overwatch Contenders Finals on August 29th and 30th to claim your exclusive Contenders Mercy skin. So, what are you waiting for? Suit up and join the fight in your Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin.
Welcome back, my friends. We're hoping that you enjoyed the break as you continued to accrue your percentage for the lovely skin. I know that we had to give you some extra time due to the shortness of our previous match, but Kenobi, we cannot let them wait any longer because we really need to continue this action, don't we?
We're so generous.
I know.
Just giving that time over, just especially for you, chat. Just especially for you. There's some people who are going to be like so happy they got that last 10 minutes because it gets them that extra little bit.
Thanks, Rich Rat and Kenobi! Thank you!
I don't know how Twitch chat's going to feel about the voice you giving them is being Carl from Jimmy Neutron.
Oh, come on, it's so good, though! As we're going to hopefully see in Midtown be a good one, as we can, for those that might have taken a step away, come right back in. We had a lot of talking points in regards to Midtown, but now we actually get to see what all of our discussion actually comes to, what the forefront of it's going to be, as we also get to confirm who is going to be on the attacking and defending side for this specific map.
And I think that will kind of give us a good indication of where the compositions are going to be going for both these teams, right? We talked a little bit about before we had the break about Riker being in the lineup. There's also going to be Sunjun still on the flex support role here. Played a little bit of Lucio in that previous series, but wouldn't expect something similar here. As on the defensive end, Saints, this is pretty similar for them. They're going to be playing a little bit of a different version of the Shooters comp, not the Orisa, but still with that very lethal backline. Also, Vision going to be sticking onto that Widowmaker. So if WISP, again, have to respect those sightlines, especially from a Widowmaker as good as Vision, because if you get held kind of in a couple of these fights, this 4 minutes that you get to attack disappears very fast.
Yeah, it will vanish right in front of your eyes. As we can see now, there's some hovering over the composition. Chopper, who we had on Watchpoint Gibraltar, make a statement with the Genji play, is looking to do the same thing here as they come blitzing out the gate and instantly going to delock a lot of that incoming fire.
Very high tempo from the WISP here. They have the Tracer and the Genji, so they want to go quick, want to try and find those assassinations. Also, Sunjun going to be rocking on this Kiriko, so there is that lethality. The thing about Rocket is that it is going to be difficult for Rocket to kind of move forward because Sam is going to be on this Torbjorn. Not a lot can kill the Torbjorn here, and already Sam taking down Sunjun. That means that I think it's going to have to be a retreat for WISP. I honestly don't know how I feel about this composition into Torb, right? There's nothing that's going to kill Turret, and Torbjorn is so survivable in scenarios like this that, unless you get, Nano or something like that, I think it's just so scary for WISP to play into.
Yeah, just throwing out rivets all day long. Like heated rivets, though. I mean, they have to do some damage. I mean, yeah. Ooh, that's actually really good. But you know what also stings is getting picked up by a Venom Mine onto Rocket. So once again, deficit in numbers and has to fall back.
Yeah, I mean, this feels very much like a Saints or like a WISP composition where it's just going to try and out mechanic you, right? Find picks with the, Kiriko with something like Rocket going in on those flanks. But Saints are doing a great job of controlling every single angle, and Raker is taking a lot of damage in these fights. As you can see again, WISP trying to go through the flank, but it's being washed so perfectly by this Saints team. I mean, Rocket has not been in the server. Only 200 damage dealt, 3 deaths, 0 final blows.
Yeah.
I mean, this has been... It feels like WISP are banging their head against a brick wall for the first minute and a half or 2 minutes of this map, and now they're making finally all those swaps over to different things.
Yep. Fully recognizing that this isn't going to work, but even then, Chopper getting very heavily damaged on entry, needing to stick very close to Rocket underneath so that they can potentially try and transition. A big shot from Vision. Everyone across the board on Saints right now is taking full free Pock Shocks onto this enemy.
I mean, you can always look at the health bars for WISP. They're always so low here. I mean, Sunjun and Squid are trying to do their best, but False going into the back line, just going to zone out these squishy members and try and make it difficult for Riker to stay alive.
Yeah, Riker at this point is really just kind of sitting there in that small room underneath, just waiting to potentially find some kind of value. Gets bouldered in the back, and now we're at 1:30, and things are looking very scary for WISP.
Yeah. And I mean, this has all been through neutrals. No ultimates used from Saints throughout any of this.
Yeah.
And like, WISP haven't really they farmed up Nano like 30 seconds into the map and haven't used it because there just hasn't been an opportunity to do so, and Saints are playing very patiently, using those crossfires effectively, and WISP feels like it's desperation for them a lot of the time with how they've been playing this one. Only a minute left here. Is this Nano going to be able to find some sort of value in this next fight?
And this was a wonderful pick overall going to this map with how well Saints have been able to play it. Looking for the accretion again. Nice slide step from Riker. Losing that healing. Pylon is absolutely helpful to push into this. Has the Captive Sun. Doesn't fully contribute it since the Molten Core was able to zone back. And Vision also has full visibility with the Infrasight.
I mean, it's just two singular ultimates, and they keep the rest of them for this next fight. WISP don't really have anything to work with themselves here. As Raker getting in relatively low here. Chopper does take down Vision. That is big.
Yep, massive opportunity. It then reduces that looming fear in the backside, but Sam gets rid of Sunjun. It's only onto Squid. Chopper has to step up big right now to give the extra assistance onto this on the attack so that they can isolate the few onto that either high ground and maneuver onto the point. This Molten Core also might be extremely valuable as the rest of Saints fall back to that doorway. In the flux, though, they are going to be blown up. Beautiful Captive Sun consumption by Riker with that kinetic grasp, so it gives them an opportunity to cycle back into this.
Doesn't matter. I mean, it doesn't matter at all. Riker just eats the sun, but the gravitic flux is really what does the damage, and that's going to be a full hold.
Wow.
I don't think WISP loaded into the server. Like, they did not play Overwatch for that offense. That was completely different than what we saw on that first map. This was just an absolute, utter domination from the Saints.
The pause crippled the mindset, it might seem, but now as they look to take the swap of sides, we've seen, a full hold, but at this point, the only full hold is a full hold of being a draw.
My brain is too smooth to comprehend where you were going with that one, but
I know, right?
I think with that defense, to be very fair to like the Saints, and also for WISP, Saints played the corners so well. Like, the
really
side
did.
lanes, Rocket didn't 0 limbs, 0 final blows, 4 deaths, because Saints were just like, if you walk forward into us, if you're trying to take these side angles, we have Torbjorn, we have the poke from Tree as well. Like, piloting Tracer into that composition was very difficult, and Saints took a huge advantage against what WISP has, and now WISP, it's only drawable for them. We talked about how we could potentially make this an 8-game series to get some of these people. It
might actually be
their Mercy skins. This would be a great way to do it. Get a draw right here.
And the other part too is it wasn't just like an independent player that was making the life of Rocket so hard. It was Vega that got one, Sam that got one, and Vision that all instantly got that one-shot potential onto it to deny them making any sort of headway. As WISP has a tall task ahead of them to make this drawable and keep it at a 1-0 scoreline, but Saints 4 minutes to work with on this.
And I like WISP's composition here on the defensive end, right? not playing the Tracer. I think having the Torbjorn, having the Hanzo, that spam potential through this kind of chokehold here. But I also love what False is doing with this Sigma, escorting the rest of the team through this kind of side angle so that they can set up and take that space away and not give those free pot shots over to Wisp.
Vision barely eluding, but has the Mega Pack to top themselves up. Doing a little bit of laundry for right now until they can push back out into the open. Decent shots onto Squid, half health, but still quite I was gonna say healthy, but you know, Riker is not. And with that being an instant elimination out the gate, this is going to be so problematic for Wisp. They are buying time and playing angles. Vision at least gets one, but now the presence is on the point. False is nearing that 33% to allow them a victory here. Chopper gets bouldered. A second pick comes in from Vision, and that will be the nail in the coffin. Saints make it a 1-1 map score and make us believe this can go the distance.
I mean, we were talking about how, like, oh, you know, it was great that we got these people some more time. It doesn't matter because Saints were just like, okay, we're going to win in like 5 minutes. It doesn't matter. Like, this was an unreal performance from them. And I think, like, having, like, Midtown in the pool, I think is, like, really hinders kind of what Wisp wanted to do with their potential. But I think with how Wisp are playing in this match in particular, I don't know if it's indicative of how the rest of the series is going to go, right? I think this is one that you kind of just say, go next, right? We got, this is not our map pick. We kind of just have to reset here. We got rolled on, but it was quick enough to where we can maybe just continue our momentum a little bit later. Like, this is one you if you're Wisp, you need to just like put this one in the rearview mirror as quick as possible.
Yep, it's the seesaw. It's just like you going to your local park, where one side goes up, the other one then goes up. And it's just this constant back and forth that you say, we'll let you have that one because we're going to take the weight back for this. As we at least now have a 1-1 score. Quick work, but we're going to head to a short break, give you more percentage. So don't go anywhere, friends. We'll be back in a moment.
There are days I will always remember when the sun and the world were bright. Solar energy filled all our needs, but only a few could bring the sun's power into themselves. These were the Inti warriors, but we call them the children of the sun. They aided our people in so many ways, as providers, healers, and in times of danger, our protectors. I was always told I would become a warrior, a big responsibility, but I had a gift that could help my people. So, I trained. At last came the day they said I was ready to join their ranks and embrace the sun. There are days I will always remember. Was it my fault that no one knew the true extent of my power? To this day, I still don't understand what I did wrong. But it doesn't matter anymore. I will make up for what I've done. Because I am Iliari, and I am the last child of the sun.
Back again, my friends. You blink and you miss it. Because that was Midtown, as it is a 1-1 map score. I believe that was like just over 5 minutes of accumulative game time, a full defensive hold, and then within the 60
might have been
capture.
the quickest game.
It was crazy.
I don't know the last time I was in a game like that quick. Like,
agreed.
I mean, maybe the one...
It almost felt like quick play where you only get one half of the game.
Yeah, I mean, it was really quick. I mean, Saints really asserting their dominance, and now I kind of, for this WISP team, again, I talked about it a little bit before the break. It's like, you just have to throw that one, like, in the trash.
Yep.
You can't really, like, get in your head on that one. It was their map pick, maybe not our strongest map. We kind of, played the Tracer a little bit too much, but there's still a lot of Overwatch left to be played, right? There's still, it's a first to 4, so you still have 3 more maps to be able to win. Long series. But this is, like, not where you want to get stuck up. And as we do have our next map, it is going to be Watchpoint Gibraltar, where we're going to next. So, again, now I'm wondering, like, what we're seeing with the team compositions. Like, do we see Riker, step out here? Or is it going to be Icy? Because I think Icy is still pretty viable on a map like this, where it's like, in the past, I would say, like, oh yeah, this is definitely going to be like a Riker map, but now, where it feels like we don't see, like, too much Winston anymore, I think Icy being in the lineup is great. You can bring in Sigma, Orisa's still viable here. I think this is a perfectly fine adaptation from this side. I mean, but also Sunjin still in on that flex support role.
That's what I was just about to comment on, is that it's still that support role. No shift up here. I mean, realistically, though, more specifically, at least with Chopper, I think that there is going to be a lot of competitive play, and this is where I look to the Genji to really start making some headway and play as if we saw it yesterday and start getting right back into the mojo, just feeling really confident, unsheathing the blade, and completely wreaking havoc on top of Saints.
I think the thing also that I wonder about, like, because I think you make a good point about the Genji and, like, how it's going to operate in a matchup like this, because Gibraltar usually favorably trends towards, like, the long-range DPS, like, Hanzo. Widowmaker is something that I expect to see here. With Rocket and Chopper, do we see kind of the Widowmaker battle come out? I think Chopper could definitely play Hanzo, that's one. But, like, is Rocket going to be able to play something that kind of matches up towards Widowmaker? And that's when my mind goes to Rocket plays Genji instead, and Chopper has to play, like, long-range DPS. Because I think if you do, like, Genji Tracer, I think it's suffering on a map like this, especially because you don't have any way to dive with people. Illari healing is just way too much to be able to keep you, to make the dives actually viable. So I think Rocket Genji is a possibility. Chopper Hanzo, definitely a possibility as well. And they're going to need kind of some big chops if they're going to be able to beat Vision with the caliber of long-range hit scan he is.
I see what you did there. I'm wearing off on you, big chops, Chopper.
Oh, I didn't even need to do that.
It's happening without you even knowing it, my friend.
Oh, no.
But, we're waiting to see again. We at least
have the brain worm. You've hit me with the...
I'm literally infested.
You've hit me with the illithid worm. Shout out to the
really have.
Baldur's Gate 3 people out there. They don't
I really need to play that. I really do. I've not started yet.
So
I
good.
know.
So good.
Everybody's talking
about it. We're gonna be done
after
today. We're gonna be after today. We're done. We take a little bit of a break,
and then I'll sink my life into Baldur's Gate.
Stop playing WoW. Play Baldur's Gate instead.
Hey! I'm still catching up in eye level. That new season's just around the corner, friend. But now we get onto this map, and I am just still fixated on Chopper. And if they hold true, and they will, as they come out the gate on it.
So this is a very lethal, aggressive composition, right? They are sticking with the Tracer and the Genji. The D.Va brought into it as well. And this composition screams to me like we want to go quick. We want to get these assassinations quickly. And Saints, Vision has to play super safe because with these 3 people diving onto you, it is very difficult to live, but I love the decision of the Life Weaver here to offer that ability to just pull Vision out of any potentially sticky situation.
And a really great denial with the boulder, at least, coming out onto Chopper, not allowing that free damage to come through, bypassing the shield. And, I wholeheartedly agree. The fact that you can just get that Life Weaver grab, especially if you've got this dive that can come through very convincingly by WISP. They are a team that we've talked about adaptability-wise and how they're able to change it up on a dime when necessary. Needs to do so now. As 60 seconds are already off the clock, Chopper underneath, looking for damage onto Vision. Only really landed one of the shurikens, though, so didn't get nearly as much pressure put onto it so Rocket could come in for the final execution. Things are getting a little bit scattered for right now, but still always fixated on that payload, which is consistently pushing forward, working its way up that rampway, and Chopper chasing down the supports. Can they get the elimination? Walking into the waking arms of Icy, but now Sam on the Genji themselves able to pick up Squid.
Yeah, taking out Squid is a big deal because that means no Ana and no ability for Icy to really get that healing pumped into him. Wisp, though, still, I mean, in a not terrible position right now. Chopper goes down. That's a big pick because now you have to wait. There's no way you can come back into this one. You have to wait for Chopper to come into this next fight. There is going to be a Kitsune Rush available for Sunjun, but I think Kitsune Rush isn't necessarily the same ultimate it was previously, and also D.Va's kind of the one that gets the most value out of a Kitsune Rush, so if they can find a way to get onto Vision, that's going to be great. But again, look at False. Viridic Flux available. You can just stop the dive if it just all compacts onto one person.
We'll see how quickly it'll be committed into this next fight. Dropping down below, having to give ground. They cannot stick and face off against Icy.
They want to kill
coordinated
so
play. Oh my goodness, they are all diving for Vision. And the pick comes through. Sunjun gets the kunai to land. And now resigning back over towards the payload. There are still multiple areas that you do have Saints playing. Dividing away, forcing False on the high ground. Tree down below, more so being that opportunity to compete against this cart. The pedal, oh, beautiful block, at least for the boosters onto Icy. Tree still falling victim to the follow-through, especially when you've got the nano coming in from Squid. But Sam and False actually weathering a very hectic and treacherous storm, come out on top and are gonna now isolate and leave this baby D.Va for a beautiful stagger.
And I mean, I really love what Saints are doing here, and it feels like it's exactly what happened with Pirates in Pajamas, right? Where Wisp send 3 people to take down Vision, and Saints are like, great, you're giving up a lot of position to us. You know, False gets onto the high ground, the crossfire gets set up, and all that time that was taken doesn't amount to anything for Wisp in a fight loss, and now it's just about them with only 45 seconds left. That's it. That's all they have to work with, and do they even have the ultimate economy to work through that?
We'll see. False now up top again. Deja vu moment, but Icy's just going to completely bypass it, going right for it. And the payload's just stagnant, sitting down below. False again going to attempt to be punished underneath, but there's not enough damage from the D.Va outright to get the limit. Well, actually, okay, Rocket's alongside. Nice partnership between the two. They ebbed and flowed more so to look like they were going to lean into Vision, but then opt to go for False, who played the same positioning as they did before. Exploiting the position now onto Vision, who is out of their depth in the current moment with Rocket being in the underpass. Numbers advantage, 4 seconds to go. Wisp have the chance to reach this checkpoint, but the amplification matrix going to zone them back. Overtime active. Competing now with False on the D.Va. The match against Icy. Squid is low. Chopper goes in for the blade. Whoa! Squid actually comes out and denies Sam with practically no HP. The Tree of Life on the point, still fueling this defensive hold, but the tree is now going to dissipate. It no longer can give that both healing and armament, as the self-destruct is not going to do much damage either. They all hide behind the forklift. The immortality field is there as well. The pedal with the rise, repositioning up top, False down below, keeping it contested. As for Saints, as they round this inner corner, Chopper with the nano, looking to do as much as they can to compete against it. The Life Weaver pulls them out of it. They can't quite get the pickup, but Vega now goes down. The dash up to the high ground. It's a 1-for-1 trade. Squid and Vega are eliminated. It's 1 meter to go. Wisp is just a matter of time away, but they recover this as the blade comes in from Sam and deny them this checkpoint.
That was just, I mean, on a knife's edge, quite literally. At the very end of that, just a couple of key picks. Vega and Tree are nigh unkillable, it feels like, as a duo. They do not die. Like, you saw how many resources being taken. Like, Chopper is just slicing, dicing through them, getting nanos, trying to get kills, but it's not enough to take them both down. If one of them is ever alive in these scenarios, it doesn't matter. That's all they need. And Wisp are unfortunately for Wisp, full health again on their map pick.
This is a very shaky moment is the way that I would put it. And that Wisp need to really dial in right now. And they have to deny this point. It is such a tall task already, what we saw in Midtown, and still a tall one here. And this is one of those moments where if they can get this and actually fuller hold it, that is one of the most significant morale boosts. Even though it's early in this series, you need that type of shift in momentum.
Yeah, I mean, it would be very... It would be very crushing to the morale if they were to have these two maps that were their map picks and they just get kind of rolled on both of them. That like it is like a punch in the gut, right? I think that they have like the players who have like been in this situation before, know kind of how to maneuver and are very veteran, like Icy specifically. Squid and Chopper and Rocket have all been in scenarios like this before, but still it's gotta hurt like with a scenario like this as Saints coming in. A similar composition for them. Vision again going to be on this Widowmaker, and I question again, how are they going to be able to reach Vision? They have to respect his damage and his one-shot potential, but with a Tracer and a Genji, unless Vision is like relatively close, you don't have an in. There's no in.
Yeah.
Vision's just going to have all these angles to work with, and he's going to be free.
And the real terrible part is if they go too heavily onto it and there is a quick response by Saints to take those divers down, it's going to be game over with how already this card is progressing. Really, really wide shots. Vision finds it. You saw in the picture up on the water tower. The angle is true, and the shot comes in. And now False has to be cautious, though, hit by the Bionade. Beautiful Suzu to try and keep the team alive as False goes right back in, boosting forward. Sam and Vision have absolutely dismantled Wisp and are now in the final stretch.
I mean, Icy is still around to be able to get this touch and contest, but still, I mean, it's all positioning advantage for Saints here, and Sam has done so much damage that he's able to get towards this blade, and we'll definitely get it with this fight being so elongated.
Well, ever so closely to the blade once again. Has unleashed it in the tail end of this fight on the swap sides, and now looking to do so again. Chopper being completely pummeled with damage. Beautiful defense matrix continuing to cover until that close 3-stack of shurikens. The Kitsune Rush needs to give value to Wisp. The Nano as well, but Sam looks to try and get the pickup. Is very close to going down, but still surviving. The kunais do not land true, and the headshot doesn't come in. 2 minutes to go. Icy drawing back into the corner. The Tree of Life for space. The deflect! There was a deflect on the sleep, but Chopper's there to assist. Gets the melee. The Nano is out. It's 3 meters, and you actually have Wisp on the defense with a beautiful turnaround, and Chopper comes in clutch.
I mean, Wisp can take a huge sigh of relief. I mean, it felt like Saints had such momentum going into that fight, and actually Saints used everything, Rich. No ultimate is left in their back pocket for this one. They're making complete wholesale swaps because they know they only get one ultimate rotation left, and Wisp, I mean, Pulse Bomb is still at the ready. They also have very close again to the blade from Chopper. I mean, this is a holdable scenario for Wisp.
Even the self-destruct is an emergency's case to throw it onto the payload to zone them back to buy extra time in the later portion of this minute and a half. High ground. The battle for it continuing to ensue. Icy, for now, draws and relinquishes control, but False then close in proximity. You can see that Vision up top was keeping a watchful eye on a Chopper, Rocket, and Chopper low. Beautiful job, though, by Squid and Sunjun to make sure that they are topped up and sticking strong to compete against this. 60 seconds. The tension continues to rise. They maneuver across to take this high ground. The server room, though, needs to be watched very closely because Chopper looms in the darkness, stealthily moving in as Sam dives forward, attempts to get the damage onto the support, but Sunjun is instantly covered. There's a pickup, though. Rocket headshot by Vision, who is looking to close this gap on the ultimate economy, but is able to get back quickly due to it being that dodge of a sleep again. It doesn't land. They're now going to see if they can push forward. The self-destruct is on the point, zoning them back. False manages to get it with the boosters onto Chopper, and once again they are going to take full control of this. Twice that sleep dart doesn't land, and Saints now put themselves again in a position to take the advantage and even further feel the weight on the shoulders of Wisp.
That is so insane from Saints. They won that fight, Rich, against a 4-ult deficit. A 4-ult deficit.
Yeah.
They had no ultimates in that fight. That was completely done in the neutral by just the virtue of mechanics from this Saints team. They pull that fight out of what I would consider the jaws of defeat at this point, and Saints are able to take this map over Wisp. I mean, just, I can't imagine what it feels like to be Wisp in this situation, where you've lost back-to-back of your map. You come into that last fight with such a high ultimate advantage, and you just get ran over. Like, it's gotta be, again, back-breaking.
It makes me feel like it's the Olympian that's like holding the world. That's the weight right now that Wisp is feeling. There is so much on their back now with these two very convincing, because those wholesale swaps, they sacrificed so much and were able to still outmatch them. And every decision that Saints have made, despite the odds against them, have truly been working on every, like, it's a symphony at this point. Every string, every trumpet, everything is just perfectly harmonized.
And I mean, you look at that last fight. We just saw the replay. Chopper dies with Blade. Rocket dies with Pulse Realm. Like, two ultimates that completely turn that fight around. Just sent into the void, never to be seen again. Like, this was, I mean, an insane clutch from Saints, who were looking like they might have actually just been, you know, completely fuller held, as I'll say. But I think one of the things that I was really impressed by was the focus down onto Chopper. Chopper died most in the lobby, not by the virtue of him doing anything wrong, but we saw so many times Sam is dueling with him. False is sitting there just holding defense matrix over Chopper, not letting him play the game. Like, they had a very important focus onto Chopper. Like you mentioned, like before we went into that one, Chopper, you want to see the Genji pop off. Well, Saints were like, no, the Genji will not get value here because we're going to focus it down so well. And that was really, I think, one of the turning points, was Chopper wasn't able to freak on Genji as much as he has been able to in the past.
But like you talked about as well and touched on with Sam specifically, also on the Genji, really being able to step up and bring value as well to match up against it. All of these different dynamics allowing it to culminate to such a formidable force to counteract the strengths that we saw so greatly previously from WISP. And now we have another confirmed map here. Once again, hopefully the third time is the charm here, going on to Coliseo, that WISP is able to start wrangling this back in and somehow get themselves out of this, what I would personally say is somewhat of a mental boon.
I think it's, I mean, it is very hard to put yourself in the shoes of like a team like this where you're down, like, it's only 2-1. That's like the most important thing. Like, if they had lost control, I would say the series ends right here. But like, the way that they've lost these last two maps has been pretty convincing. Like, it feels like they have been completely read. I think that Saints are doing some great mid-set adaptations. They feel like they know, it feels like they know exactly what WISP are trying to do and like what they want their win condition to be, and are focusing it down to such an insane level. Like, I think they are just playing like a team who, to be fair, when you look at all the names on the roster, have done this like significantly before. I mean, just the idea of like, we have 2 minutes left, let's switch our entire composition. We know it's not working, right? To just things we know that like can maybe bring it back. You know, Baptiste, bring a vision onto Ashe, you know, to focus down the Genji a little bit more, have that one-shot potential onto the Tracer. Like, that just tells me that this is a team that is constantly thinking of the game. And that's what I think makes Saints so good. When you look at all the players on their roster, they all have great minds for the game, and it's, I think, part of the reason as to why they are in this driver's seat right now.
Well, just like with the interview that we heard, mashing up two very prolific collegiate team players, all knowing the extensiveness and playing at such a high-performing level and being able to play off of one another, the synergies, understanding of just not only their mechanical skill independently, but also as a unified front. Everything right now is a real testament to the way that they have been able to come back here and look to once again repeat that history, as we touched on at the very start of this. Again, you did say, though, the series is not over here. There is still one more possibility if, let's say, Saints do take this, but as that continues to happen, it is further and further away from WISP's grasp of claiming this Summer Series title. It
starts to get a little bit tricky here. Like, if Saints can like kind of, or if WISP can come out on a map like this and just be like, okay, this is where, you know we can have some success in a scenario like this. We've potentially played it in the past. That's probably where they want to go. Coliseo is interesting to me that they're playing on this one, because it doesn't offer necessarily like an advantage to either team. I think if there was like, if this was like SR peak check and I'm like, you're being taken to Coliseo, I'm like, okay, like what's happening? Like, why are you taking like that? What I would be weirded about. But this doesn't feel like there's an inherent advantage for either team. But since it's WISP that are picking it, maybe they have some sort of ace up their sleeve, right? Maybe Chopper on the Hanzo can get a lot of value with these long corridors that can get a lot of value, especially with something like a Hanzo that has that one-shot potential.
And with how Chopper's been able to also get some very significant plays, which again has been stifled to some degree by Vision, they might look for this very introductory neutral fight to gain the initial advantage and really try and hone in on that, as you actually see a little bit of a deviation of positioning again because of the Iliari, that they do have that duo play across this courtyard towards that central pillar. Sam is going to move very far forward, and again with the pylon already being set up, they have the spatial advantage while there's a nice angle being played in this crossfire. both from Chopper and from Sunjun.
Sunjun is getting a couple good shots in, but look at how aggressive Saints are starting to be with this Soldier 76. I mean, they're just trying to rush down this Illari here in this scenario, and that means Illari isn't in this fight at all.
No, but there is at least some contention to gain that, at least for now, but there is a unfortunate turn of events on the main fight, which is towards that archway, and now the high ground has been taken by Sam.
Yeah, and I mean, this is the thing about this combination is that there's no way that Chopper and Sunjun are going to be, unless Chopper is hitting a shot, there's no way that they can contest here. Vega's going to end up going down, but Tree is still in this fight, so the healing's going to be there, and this was just an absolute masterclass on the side lane from Sam and from Tree. Absolutely perfectly played from them. They knew they had the advantage, and they just rushed down Sunjun, not letting him get back to the fight, taking him down, and it's going to be a starting percentage of crew and meterage of crew for Saints here.
And now Vision is free to play this far forward. Oh my god! You did not, Vision! This is just now salt in the wound, wrapped with barbed wire, Kenobi.
I mean, remember when people told us about Vision on Redbirds, and it's like, yeah, Vision plays Hanzo, it's a free map win. That's what you get from Vision, just shots like that not a lot of other Hanzos are making, and we're going to try and recontest here, but Dragon Strike is going to do great for zoning.
Underneath, Vision sweeps in stealthily to get the pickup onto Icy. This is now just crumbling in front of them down the mountainside.
Squid is getting a couple of kills off the back end. It's back and forth, but with False still here, I mean, it's almost impossible to win this fight. Or at least, like, even try and contest the cart, right? Because False is here alongside Vision. Just hold up that shield, let Vision continue to throw down those shots, but actually, I guess we're going to try and recontest.
Jumping forward, Vision getting very low. The healing and focus to keep Vision alive, and finds another onto Chopper. A Molten Core is the one and only option to stop their reign as Saints fall back to the neutral and just look to go again.
Yeah, but I mean, if you're Saints here, you get Molten Core out, that's totally fine, and you can actually stop WISP from getting any type of progression right now, and you can actually take the space away from them.
You can see Icy nested in that window for right now.
Look at the flank.
I know, you can see it just, again, Tree on the back, Squid low.
Squid is playing a horror game.
Immortality Field's already been lost. They don't have it any longer, but Chopper at least able to throttle forward to give the assistance. Icy gonna now overstay their welcome. There is so much damage onto them. They do get Vision, but what's the consequence? A Tactical Visor active by Sam, completely flanking the backside, and now you have the rest of the team starting to maneuver forward, and there's barely any distance gain here from WISP.
I mean, they are using Saints this combination so well, but actually WISP are trying to turn this one back around to get a little bit aggressive here. Gravitic Flux is used, though, and it's big. No Immortality Field.
Nice double tap. There is Rocket sent back to spawn once again. Oh, Squid, you are not long for this world, and you've end up being Calamari as this bot going to now push to this archway once again.
And WISP will have a way to kind of stage a defense here, but Saints are still holding this angle pretty effectively and holding the bot where it is. They want to have these kind of enclosed fights because if they keep the bot here, that means that Sam and Tree can make these flanks, and WISP have to respect that potential.
Still False anchoring on this neutral position. Icy needs to attempt to take some ground, but the second they move out, as we look towards the outskirts again, towards this fight separated from the main junction. Underneath, the Dragon Strike from Vision looking to be held onto until the necessary moment. Tick damage onto Rocket, but does elude. There's the Terra Surge, Immortality Field keeping Vision alive. Clean play, but WISP finally gain the advantage after what they had to contribute, which is realistically only the Terra Surge.
Yeah, I mean, I love this adaptation from WISP. They're finally going to start like trying to match those flanks, because what we saw at the start was like they just couldn't. There was no way that they could match the Soldier and Illari. Now they go onto it themselves, and now they're going to have a much easier time fighting for those side angles and side lanes. And with the ultimate advantage, like we talked about, Rich, I mean, this is potentially a cap for them. It's going to be difficult for Saints to get out of here.
Oh, wow. All right, we talked about Vision getting a pick, but that was a nutty Helix Rocket to weave its way through a couple of players. And now you can see the checkpoint just about to be reached. Saints are going to need to look for contention. As there is a regroup up top on the bridgeway. It can't quite outmatch Sam when the stutter step and the foot jibe comes through. But Icy and Squid do some work. Keep this pushed. Rocket down below is going to be the insurance policy to make sure that they reach this checkpoint, and that's going to be huge. They will reach it, have the butt scratch, and might actually just ever so slightly take the lead.
Yeah, I mean, they're going to take the lead here by about 5 minutes. That's going to be good for them, and they still have ultimates to work with too, which is good. You're going to see Chopper and Rocket, Molten Core in this very tight space is going to get a lot of value, but actually, they're just not going to use it here. They're going to just give it up. I love this decision, right? Just get the checkpoint, get as much as you can, get the lead, and now take it back to this neutral fight where Molten Core here can get a lot of value, but Tactical Visor on the flank, Sam is dead.
Wonderful re-engagement here. They catch Saints with their pants down and are going to take full advantage of this, and this is what we needed to see from Wisp. Saints in full control earlier, now completely putting their opponent on the back foot, but it's Wisp doing it this time.
And now I think this is where Vision might need to swap off of this Hanzo and go to something a little bit more consistent damage, like whether that's the Symmetra, whether that's the Torbjorn, because just the amount of damage and the amount of spam that's coming in through Wisp here on the front line with Chopper making these flanks is too much, and Vision hasn't been able to get the same amount of picks he has previously, as still Molten Core available on a bridge like this could do a lot of damage.
Attempting to pass on the bridgeway, just clips the billboard, so it lands on multiple spaces, so False has to be very careful in how they push into this, but the fact that Sunjun is down by Sam, so beneficial to them. Squid is attempting to work their way through it. Captive Sun lands, Rocket needs to be procced, tick, tick, boom, and the damage comes out with Tree following suit. But again, the advantage has been gained. Icy's still sticking around to just, again, buy time so that they can get a full regroup as it heads back to the neutral.
I mean, it's a huge advantage, especially with the fact that Saints, in their initial first couple parts of this map where they were really had it by the scruff of the neck, they never got the checkpoint, so that's just more time that's taken off the clock for them, and there's only 3 minutes left, which is going to make it a bit of a difficult scenario for them. They do have a Grid of Flux to work with, but when you look at Wisp, I mean, back half of their...
Oh, so scary! Yeah, that's so scary. Vision is being able to take this trade much more effectively and landing the shots. Unfortunately, not the dome that you would prefer, but it is really putting weight onto both Sunjun and Chopper, as there is a beautiful follow-up. Is the damage there, though? Captive Sun is sunstruck onto Tree. Wisp able to take the advantage once again. They've gotten their mojo back, and they want to take this one.
And I think they really have it all in their sights right now for this Wisp team. False is going to end up going down, and what I love the most about this from Wisp is kind of how they just took what Saints was doing and just put it back on them and are doing it better, right? The flanking from Chopper and Sunjun is just making absolute wonders happen, and now only 2 minutes left. Saints have been rolled in a couple of these last fights. There is an Amp Matrix to work with. Chopper's also got that Tactical Visor, so that combo could do a lot of damage.
Rocket has that turret placed in the corner as well, just in case Sam moves out from the low ground. Oh, Javelin counters the Flux! My goodness. Wisp right now has set themselves up for such a massive success right now with 1 minute and 30, completely nullifying that ultimate. The reposition comes in. You do have this bridgeway still being a point of contention. Icy knocks False down below, so they have to walk up the stairway, and Icy's still taking ground. Sam within the corner. Rocket's keeping a watchful eye of it, and Tree underneath can't quite get the clear sightlines to top up both Sam or False. Immortality Field has to come in. Tree needs this to pay off. The Captive Sun has to be big. It does at least get a proc onto one, and Vision finds another. They are able to, again, stem the bleeding with Vision on 2, but it's still Wisp in the advantage.
It has to be perfect from here on out for Saints, and they used the Captive Sun, they used Gravitic Flux, but also there were some ultimates that were used by Wisp there that could have made these last couple of fights a little bit easier for them. Captive Sun is going to be the big one to look out for, but Vision on the flank. What is he going to try and do here? Is he going to try and stop them getting forward?
Is there going to be a cheeky play? Try to match those who've been able to do so before? Chopper being very respectable about the distance, not actually taking that duel, because to be fair, they were having a hard time doing so. Dragon Strike now to the center! Rocket's in the center of it. Immortality Field has been forced out. They no longer have that defense, so that's going to be the go button here. Wisp, 1 for 1. The Captive Sun is active, tossing it in, gets one onto Tree. They've been brought down, but Squid is as well. It's a 1 for 1 support, and also losing at the DPS. Vision shuts down Icy, so there's no longer that mitigation from the tank up front. Finding an off angle. Vision looking for the pickup once again onto the support. So So if they can continue to take this, they'll get back into it. Sunjay down, and now they have another chance.
Yeah, Sunjin would going down there. I mean, it's on overtime now, and again, that last little meterage before the checkpoint is going to let Wisp get back into this fight, and they have all control of these high grounds. Sam, what can you find with the blade here? Wisp have nothing in terms of their ultimate economy.
Sam with the blade. We've seen them come through before. Can they do so again now? The ultimate that they rely on. False is the only one close in proximity that can gain theirs as well. A Flux Blade would be absolutely devastating if they could land it onto those key targets of Wisp. Amplification Matrix, it's going to be a pick onto Vega. They got it, despite that. Now, with the Blade active, gets the pick up onto Sunjin, but unfortunately, everybody else down below! There's the trades back and forth. A double blade kill, the deflect, but no! They are not able to stick onto it, and Wisp now comes back, able to make it a 2-for-2 score, and have just started to be able to see the light at the end of the tunnel.
And that's a way to come back from, I mean, two maps that were completely out of your control and just looked like duds. Coming here on this map of Coliseum, they looked like, I mean, after the first 3 minutes, I was worried that we were just going to be a 5-map series and that was going to be it, but they made that mid-map adaptation, putting Chopper on that Soldier 76, putting Sunjun onto that Alari, and just moving them across the map on this flanks and doing to Saints what Saints were doing to them, but just doing it better.
Yeah, it really came down to that first surprise tactic when it came later on from Chopper. Even though we can see here in these replays, Vision, full control, taking the advantage, finding these picks. But once that shift happened later on, and Chopper puts them in a very perplexing position, everything started to tumble down the side of the mountain, and it only continued to gain speed.
And now for Wisp, I mean, they have the momentum kind of getting back into this game. I think the way that they were playing was so much better towards like the back half of that map. They really never let Saints catch them off guard at any point, right? That was the biggest thing, is they never let Saints back into this. It felt like after they made this swap, full control throughout the entirety of the map.
It's getting good, gamers. All of you in chat were worried that this was going to be a fast one as you saw the momentum gain from Saints, but Wisp says, no, 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 we're still here to play. The ball is in the court, and they're looking to make this an extensive one, Kenobi. And I think we've channeled quite a bit, at least, to get us to this position.
Map 5, so
that's what I mean. So we've already at least hit our quota, but now we're looking to make some extra phone calls for Salesforce and guaranteeing that we get the big buy and get the whaler.
Yeah, we'll make some packs with some devils and see if we can get this to a map 7. Maybe a map 8, you know, if we're feeling generous or they're feeling generous. But, I mean, this is... I'm so glad that this was a Wisp win because of the fact that it looked like it was so dire in those previous last two maps. To come into this one, convincingly win with this, like, with a composition that you weren't really expecting to go in with, but you mid-set adapted. Now you're able to come back in, beat Saints effectively. It looks like we're in, you know, looks like we're in banger territory, I'll say, Rich.
Yeah. And it's time for another intermission before entering into the next act. So we'll be back in a moment, my friends, as we continue this show and see who claims the title.
Are you tired of your teammates holding you back from greatness? Ready to seize the initiative, hit shift, and super jump up the ranks? Or become the envy of support players on every map, game, and round? Well, get ready to take flight with the brand new Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin. Each Mercy skin comes with a brand new, hand-painted, handcrafted, free-range, organic, non-GMO, and side effect-free Valkyrie battlesuit, so you can be in style as you beam up your team. And when your Caduceus stuff isn't enough, there's always the Caduceus Blaster! In order to earn your wings, connect your Battle.net account to Twitch and tune in during the Overwatch Contenders Finals on August 29th and 30th to claim your exclusive Contenders Mercy skin. So, what are you waiting for? Suit up and join the fight in your Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin.
So you know we've mentioned it earlier, but we just want to emphasize it even more, since the fact of the matter is that one of these teams specifically is flooded with collegiate talent. Yes, it is the Overwatch Collegiate Homecoming for this year of 2023. Registration is still open and closes at midnight Pacific time on September 4th. And it's open to those collegiate students not only in the United States, but Canada as well. And you want to know what you get when you're a player exclusively for participating in this? It's the icon and the spray. Who doesn't want that? So make sure that you turn in and also potentially sign up because you have the opportunity of competing for $75,000 in prize pool money.
Yeah, and
Did I make that as game show as possible? I really tried.
That's like a Game Show Network type of beat right there. You have a future ahead of you in that, but there's a future ahead for us in the series too, Rich, and we have some changes to talk about going into this one. I mean, we do know what the map is also. We do know it's Oasis. Yeah. That's what's going to be picked here, so on Control. And now this is like my favorite parts of the, best of sevens. This is now just a best of 3 between both these teams, and it's like every single moment matters even that much more between these two. Oasis is where we're going to be. We haven't seen like too much Oasis, I feel like.
We really haven't.
I feel like we've seen like Busan a lot, we've seen Antarctic a lot, but Oasis is not one that we've seen too terribly often. It is the map pick of Saints, so they probably have some sort of ace up their sleeve for it. Mm-hmm. And speaking of, Mikey is going to be coming into the roster, so that's definitely a change we got to talk about going into this one. This is going to be kind of interesting that we're going to be seeing Mikey versus Raker again. Raker coming back into the lineup again right here.
So it'll be interesting to see between the two. And again, this is something that we did get to see yesterday, specifically on this map, because Saints did go all 3 rounds in this when they were competing against O3 Splash, where they did have more of this Orisa Winston swap between the two. So with Raker now coming in specifically, they're going to now look to try and compete and match up against Mikey, which I think is going to be a good challenge between the two of them. And the biggest thing too is that since they are going to this map that they were able to take in that 3rd round, I'm more so looking specifically towards University, where it was a lot more profound at which that they play, and seeing how those potential map selections in the submap is going to play to their strengths and or also weaknesses.
Yeah, I'd actually love to see Winston kind of just one last time, was so defining.
Hurrah, hurrah!
The last couple of seasons that we've had here in Contenders, and this would be a map in Oasis where like Winston can be played. We have Mikey and Raker in, like the stars are aligning for it. So let's just get one last ride with Winston. That would be nice to see, even though I think people are, we're just not happy with it too much.
Kalu Kalei, Winston, hooray! That's what we're all gonna say. So we've got, that was a good one. I thought that was a good one. That was on the fly too. Throw that into the flash pan and just make it work. Yeah, fire and such. It's getting late.
Your mind
We've got
works,
a great
your mind
series.
Works in just such mysterious ways to be able to
Thank you for saying
string
mysterious.
together all those puns. It's just incredible. Yeah. But what's going to be incredible, and what we also know that is like potentially going to be happening here, is Saints bringing out Mikey on this Winston. Now, WISP doing a great job at the start here. I love this decision from them, this comp in particular. Rocket and Raker are going to melt Mikey if he steps out of bounds even once. Mikey has to play so incredibly safe, because if he makes one wrong dive, one wrong movement away from his bubble, he gets absolutely plastered.
And as they take the opposing position, Mikey holding ground up top alongside Sam. Nice chip damage, though, at least coming in to help reduce the possibility of them still residing on that upper position. Slow, methodical play to keep it contested down below. Rocket and Riker sticking close underneath within that dome. Jagged Blade attempting to land to pull Mikey back in, leaving him vulnerable. But no value to be had thus far. As Sam looks for the opening, Chopper is half health. The follow-through isn't quick enough, but Mikey might say otherwise. Nice pickup pack, though. Onto Sam, who dashes out with 3 HP! Oh my goodness! That's a lucky number 3 to a lucky number 5 if I've ever seen one before, as it swaps over to Saints first.
Wait, they get back onto the point, so WISP just give away all of that all of that positioning that they had just to go back and try and kill Sam and Mikey, who just play on a knife's edge. And look at Tree with the nano available. You can throw that onto the Mikey.
Yep, instantly delve in. Chopper has been blown to bits, squashed underneath the weight of the nano Mikey. As they regroup to continue calculating and adding up that percentage gain. Up top, you can see them look for potentially a re-entry as Riker down below on this Queen. Looks for the Jagged Blade again. Can't quite find the best angle to pull them down. Still, these pickups are viable, and at this point, both Tree and Vega are free to do what they want.
I mean, they're moving so well right now with this composition. Vision gets taken down low. Here comes Ant Matrix Mikey.
Oh my goodness, that's a carnage, though, that you're going to feel real good about as Sam has to flee once again. Low health values. Vision, though, from a side angle, gets one onto Chopper and looks to throttle Big Helix onto Sunjun, but still survives with the assistance of Squid.
Riker's getting antied, and he actually has the healing back into him. Vision still alive, puts down the pad, gets himself back up. It's still in control of Saints here.
We'll see if Vision can continue to be a thorn in the side of Wisp on that flanking angle. Networking back up to the high ground as they were before. Riker's still playing this opposing side, though. The plane is active. They're going in swiftly onto the backside. The Immortality Field will not save you today. It's been taken back for the moment, but the numbers still favor Saints as they go right back to it and only allow a handful of points.
Great combo as well. I love when teams are going to be using that blade alongside something like a sound barrier, because you know the Genji is basically unkillable in scenarios like that and can just slice and dice through the entirety of the rest of the team. And Wisp, I mean, Chopper going desperately here onto a Sojourn just to try and offer some of that one-shot potential. Raker needs to get something with this Rampage. It has to be able to hit Pager, but look, I mean, again, Tree with that nano boost can throw it onto Mikey, and the backline could just evaporate.
Contention now on the point is present as we reach these final seconds. Entering into the overtime, the dive comes through. Mikey, as we've seen before, a dominant force. The Rampage comes in, lands onto two, but is there the follow-up? Sam's and Vega are so alive! Oh my goodness, the Nano comes out, re-entering onto the back line of Sunjun, who is able to burst themselves high enough into the sky that they're able to rain down solar power onto the Genji, forcing them back, taking it, having the numbers advantage. Still one to contest. Rocket's gonna sweep through, taking out Mikey, and it's now back to Wisp.
I mean, what an absolute clutch from Squid and Sunjun there. That looked like with the nano, Sam was about to just wipe the backline, but a perfectly timed Suzu, and then just the raw shots coming in from Sunjun, able to completely switch that one up and bring Saints back into a position where they can start accruing some percentage of their own, but they have to play it perfectly from here on out. You can see Saints actually switching up their composition a little bit. Go bring Mikey on that Orisa, offering a little bit more of that stalwart presence.
You can hear the tac visor active now. Vision using the jump pad to get the angle, but now being way overwhelmed, and a long-range jagged blade hitting the mark, leaving a scar, and this will be Wisp able to take this convincingly.
They're also able to only use that Kitsune Rush to win that one, so they're able to keep a lot of key ultimates relatively soon. There's going to be an overclock from Chopper, Pulse Bomb still available from Rocket, and now Vision just switches over to the Torbjorn just to try and make life a little bit miserable for Rocket as they're going to try and make these engagements, and another Captive Sun from Sunjun. Vega is the key member to look out for here. Vega can live long enough and get enough value. Sound Barrier could be a defining thing.
Especially if you get that sound barrier coverage onto Sam to go in with the blade and give them much more wiggle room. They will be able to take over that back line and have the freedom to not force out the defensive deflect early to reduce the amount of power that can be brought with it. Now, Amplification Matrix also going to be soon online. Vega now gets theirs. Everything is stacked up for Saints to utilize into this Chopper with the overclock now going to activate it. The blade is covered, and there it comes, unleashed onto two. It will be 99 into the overtime on the reverse side, but Riker takes down Tree, and Sunjun gets Sam. They've been able to counteract this engagement. Riker is down. It's a trade-off through and through. A bloodbath onto the point. The Pulse Bomb comes into Vision. The overtime is fading. A Javelin off the point to pin them into the wall. And now the Lucio, a hope and a prayer. The spear spin them away. Javelin into the wall. The Orisa play from Mikey makes me proud, but the overtime still hasn't dissipated. Squid underneath. The Lucio, bobbing and weaving, utilizing the movement, still sticking into this. Numbers advantage for Saints to try and take this. It's a desperate play from Riker to get back onto the Doomfist, who's stunned, locked away from Sam, and now finally take this initial point for Saints with 100 to 99.
I mean, it's exactly like our first control, just completely dogfight between these two teams, back and forth, back and forth. Sam with a fantastic blade. I mean, going after Chopper in particular here, you were right. The sound barrier blanketing all of that incoming damage. Squid and Chopper, not long for this world. And while Sunjun gets a nice Captive Sun, it's not enough to win that fight off the back end.
Ooh, boy. But this is a map that at least we knew Saints played favorably. Now, when it came to Gardens, that's where it was not as definitive. when we looked at previously. So this might be a chance for WISP, especially if we do have a Symmetra play, which was something that was attempted and integrated, at least at the start of it, by Vision. And it looks like it's not actually going to be Vision that opts to go for it and sticks onto the Torbjorn.
Yeah, I think the Torbjorn is good here, being able to just use that, spam potential. And also, if WISP are going to continue to play Rocket on this pick, just bring in that Torbjorn makes Rocket's life miserable. And with the Sojourn as well, there's not really a way to kill this turret, right? There's not that long-range potential to take down turrets incredibly quickly, and Vision will get a lot of value with it, unless he kind of throws it into no man's land. That's just an unfortunate miss.
Nobody saw that.
Covered. I mean, it's covered.
It is.
Good
Nobody
peel for
saw
the turret.
That was the ideal location, we'll say. Rocket, though. Sorry, friend. That dash into a shuriken is never going to feel good, as the deflect takes so much of that incoming fire, and you will still have Saints with the dominant percentage gain here.
I mean, the thing about this, again, is that now Rocket's going to be moving over to the Torbjorn, which I think they should have done sooner, but actually, it's just, Saints are going to blitz this backline completely.
Overrun instantaneously once they've had the advantage. Like an iron fist, Mikey rushes on and proves that their Orisa play is just as formidable as the Winston, but Rocket on the flank, able to actually counteract this, and Tree goes down. WISP managing to come through with the adjustments, and with their longevity of survivability, it actually gives them the advantage.
I mean, somehow, some way, Saints just lose that one just off of a few random picks from the WISP players, and now WISP are able to take control of this point. Saints gonna have to try and recontest into this one. Genji from Sam still trying to look for a way into those backlines, but this already looks like 10 times better, Rich, right? With Rocket on this Torbjorn, matching the one from Vision, I think the Tracer was just not working, and this is a much quicker swap that I love to see.
Nice spear spin to remove Riker off this high ground, putting them below so that you can see Saints maneuver towards that left-hand side potentially to do something to Rocket. Nice window opportunity here, just really networking damage into that archway, denying Saints from pushing out a little bit further as they have opted to go for the Ant Matrix themselves. Kitsune Rush is active, Squid giving the chance now for WISP to get back into this. They still have the point, mind you, despite it being a very chaotic engagement as Saints moves in. Disruptor shot up top, zoning away Sam so he can't dive into this. The overclock is just about active, and still Riker, full HP, got the Rampage, commanding shout for the protection necessary underneath, but Mikey actually pulls in Sunjun, so now it's only Squid. The spear spin onto Chopper, the numbers wavering away from WISP, and Saints taking it back.
Love the aggression from Saints. They're not letting WISP stand on ceremony and get the perfect engagement from Riker with that Rampage, because they knew that if that Rampage hits pay dirt, there's no sound barrier to cover it, so Mikey goes aggressive into the backline, uses a perfect Terra Surge, and completely wipes the fight. Now Saints are in a great position to continue to hold this high ground, and if they can play a little bit more split, the Rampage won't necessarily get a lot of value, but what might potentially get value, Rich? Chopper with an overclock.
Yep.
Chopper, the last time, almost deadlifted a control map. Can Chopper do it again?
Especially when you have that Rampage. If they get the initial hit and deny the healing, that gives even more agency to Chopper. But if they continue to be damaged and chipped away like this, they can't do it nearly as freely. And Sam with the blade, the wings, dives up top, comes in from on high, instantly goes for the deflect, and the Suzu is forced out. No longer having that defense, the Rampage forward. WISP going to attempt the counterplay, able to get 3. They're solo again. Vega, Tree, Mikey, and Sam are still holding on. They've clinched to the very lifeblood that's within them, and they've not given anything up for it.
I mean, Matrix available here from Tree on the high ground is completely uncontested. Can he keep Mikey up?
What? Mikey's still alive and holding through this, had the spear spin, but finally goes down. Sunjun and Riker hold strong and swap it over.
Oh my god, it's so close between both of these teams here. I mean, it feels like fights could go either way. Just these minuscule things that are completely changing fights, and Saints at 99%, WISP ticking upwards themselves. Last fight for both of these teams here. Kitsune Rush versus a sound barrier, but Mikey so close towards that Terra Surge. The backline has to be so careful for WISP here.
And now, moving in, Mikey going to drop down instantly onto Riker. Nice sound barrier from Vega. They are blitzing with also the commanding shout. Javelin into Squid. Able to get a Terror Surge, and Saints turn this right back despite the 95. Saints just want to be able to take this map now to guarantee them a match point. WISP is not able to stick on this and have now put themselves in a final stage of being able to reclaim a second title.
I mean, Mikey comes in, plays the Orisa, plays the Winston to almost perfection, I would say, and Saints are now one singular map away from completing the salty run back against WISP and also completing a back-to-back championship.
We can take a look at these replays and have just a moment to realize the competitive nature between these two teams, both putting on a spectacular performance and bringing it to the brink. Again, we're talking 99 into the overtime, both sides, 95-99 between the two. And just overall, it has been spectacular that we reached this point. And Saints, even though they have found themselves going, down ever so slightly against WISP, specifically on that push map, which was played so well, they at least come back, revitalized to do the same here on Control. But now, Kenobi 2, we're going to dissipate and waver away from this map of Control, and it's favored now for WISP's selection to once again see if they can equalize.
And, where is that going to be, whatever the selection is, right? Is it going to be something, where they keep Riker in, or are they going to put Icy back into this lineup? I think that they're kind of set right now on keeping Sunjin in on no matter what it is in terms of the flex support role. We haven't seen any Neb, which has been very shocking to me. That I know how good Sunjin is, but Neb was also someone who was incredibly capable. But I guess they really, really like the Illari so much and kind of can forgive some of the lack of experience on the Baptiste to keep him in the lineup.
Yeah, and again, it's maybe one of those things where you feel that there's just enough working. And because of now the part of this series that we're in the later segment of it where things are still getting really intense. Do you want to risk that? That's the real factor here. If there was ever a moment that they could potentially do it now, because it is at least one map up. But even then, why risk that? It's so that's you looking at your checks and balances and looking at the stocks and hoping that you're gonna just out of nowhere with this subtle change make bank. And it's not a risk I think anyone in this situation would want to take.
And I mean, it's not like Sunjun's playing bad or anything. Sunjun, when Ilari is playing very good, the Baptiste has also looked pretty good as well. But I feel like there is a slight problem with Rocket in particular because we've seen a lot of the time the Tracer is being played by Rocket. And Saints are very adept at dealing with it, right? Sam is being so good at focusing it down. Same thing with just bring out a Torbjorn, right? That just doing that is enough to basically make Tracer's life completely miserable. And especially on map types like Control, where it's if you come out on Tracer and you lose that first fight, and Control is a map type that's very much in favoring of just if you win first fight, right? I say 70% of the time, the team that wins first fight is going to be able to win the map. So if there's going to be this continuation of putting Rocket in this position, is the Tracer going to be something that we keep seeing? Because I think that as good as Rocket is, and I want to stress that, Rocket is arguably the best Tracer that we have, in the region. It's hard to play it, even for someone as capable as Rocket. And you've seen that throughout. I mean, go back to even, what was it? What was the map where... Midtown. I forgot that. Midtown. I forgot it happened. Midtown. Nothing happened on that map, right? Because it was just Saints continuously focusing down that Tracer. But I think we won't be seeing Tracer here, Rich. This is going to be where we're going to try and make their final stand. It's on Circuit Royale, a map that Saints won last time they played.
Yeah, and it's going to be such a climactic moment right now for Saints if they're able to close this out, but WISP has the opportunity again to bring this into our 7th and final map, something that we have been putting energy into the universe for, to go the distance, not only for those viewing, but for us casting it, but also for the drops. But between these two, they again, we were in the interview and I said, oh yeah, I hope for a super exciting long game. But the thing is that they really don't want that to be, but now it's actually happening. This is legitimately happening in front of them. Yeah. So Saints, they're again, I talked about how WISP even on Coliseum can see the light at the end of the tunnel, but Saints right now can see a brighter light ahead of them because they are just a few steps ahead, but they need to guarantee that with the way that WISP can be playing, that they are right on their heels.
Yeah, and I mean, so we do have some changes, and this is what I was kind of alluding to. What is going to happen with Rocket? What is going to happen with the changes in team dynamic? And we're seeing WISP bring in Neb for the first time. Yeah. On a map like this, it obviously makes sense because I don't think you can play Sunjun on not a hit scan, right? His hit scan is way too good. Rocket, as good as he is on Tracer, just isn't going to be able to match up with like the long-range hit scan on the other side. So I think that this is a great decision from WISP to kind of put Sunjun on a carry potential hero and have him be the focal point. Neb is incredibly adept at playing the other end of this Baptiste Zenyatta lineup. And for Saints, we also I think have a... Oh, do we have any spots for them?
Yeah, we do. False is going to be coming in for Mikey instead. Which, again,
Sigma
makes
map.
total sense. Absolute sense coming out here. And the big part, too, is you and I have been casting Neb for such an extensive period of time and know exactly what they can bring to the table.
Fisher
I think
Esports.
you still have... Yeah, I think you still have...
I still do.
That's what I was going to say, yeah. Neb right now is just in the wings is going to be like, yeah, I got you, Kenobi. But again, so looking at the change up here for False, no surprise at all. Sig v Sig, head v head. These swaps, again now for Sunjun. This is the moment. WISP has been waiting for this to potentially be the ace in the hole. Vision talked about how the Symmetra was the hidden strat at the tail end when it was utterly necessary for them to claim victory yesterday. And maybe this type of adjustment here is the thing that WISP is going to need to be able to do the same and have a run back moment once again.
I mean, this is also... Vision also said that it doesn't matter what happens tomorrow. He's just going to gap everyone. This is the map to rubber stamp.
Emphasis on gap.
This is
emphasis on gap.
Yeah, if you were going to ever kind of rubber stamp a statement like that, it's on a map like this where it's you play Widowmaker against the enemy Widowmaker, and you just kind of just go off and go bunker. I mean, this was the last time. I think this was the map where Vision like had like a 4K only headshots at 10 HP. Like Vision loves the map. Like and while like I think in the previous series that we saw them against Pip, Saints started very slow. When they like ramped up eventually, there was no way Pip could even, gain their footing throughout the entirety of that map.
Also, for those of you that have been keeping count of that, I do think that is a ritualistic Lucio sacrifice from Tree onto this. So I believe they have given up that sacrifice to hopefully give them the victory potential with maybe a Sig 9 again.
Vision already starts it out with a pick onto Squid. That's huge. That means there's no Discord orb. There's not a lot of spam as well, and now Saints can hold these sightlines. That matchup between Chopper and between Vision, I've got my eyes locked in on that one. Sunjun is going to be on the Sojourn, so gonna take a little bit more time for the Sojourn to ramp up here, but if you can kind of get into these more brawly type of areas and get aggressive, Sunjun can really frag.
I also am really focusing on this Zenyatta play just because of how monumental that Discord orb can contribute towards a lot of these fights and pick potential. Even just focus fire, really. As they turn this corner once again to deja vu from what we've seen before. Couple of shots come in from Chopper. Can't quite land it. Disruptor shot. Nice trade. 1 for 1. There is a stun onto Icy, but with Vega going down and Chopper getting the bullet, that's going to guarantee that they have so much more space to work with, and now that pickup guarantees it.
Yeah, without Vega here, there's no healing for the rest of the team. It's only Tree just left on the Zenyatta, and WISP are going to be able to take so much space away from the Saints team. Easy first cap for them, and now you see Icy moving forward with this Sigma, starting to just put pressure down onto Saints as much as they can. Sunjun, now with like the second point, with more like an enclosed area, Sunjun's going to be a lot more of a threat here.
Icy, heavily focused with that Discord orb the second they peek their head out. But still has the barrier active. Dual kinetic grasp in the center, as there is a very forward momentum with that amplification matrix and just collapse onto Saints. They are not able to gain a solid foothold. They are just edging on their heels right now because they can't get a full plant.
I mean, this feels exactly like what happened with them against Pip. Like, Pip rolled through those first two couple of points, and Saints really had no legs to stand on except at the very end when they started clutching things up. WISP are a completely different beast. Is there even going to be a recontest possible? False does have Gravitic Flux to work with.
And we'll see if they can repeat history. Flux active, False mitigating the damage. In the immortality field, feeling calm for the moment, but that stun is not going to make you feel comfortable, and you are blown to bits. And the really unfortunate part is you committed the amplification matrix, and there was no repercussions.
Yeah, I mean, Amp Matrix there, 5.5 minutes for WISP. this is going to be a Herculean defense for Saints. I mean, these two teams did go the limit. I mean, they went to a second round of this map, but Icy right now, 0 deaths for him, really excelling right now in this tank matchup against False. And really, I mean, the thing about the Sigma is that if you were able to assert your dominance in this matchup, you give so much space to the rest of your team and take away so much from the enemy.
And that's why I think this last position has been so monumental, at least what we saw previously defensively from Saints. If you can have False gain the advantage and play that outskirts where you can see them maneuvering, they know it's happening. WISP is ready for this because they had the chance to see it earlier. You can now cycle back over towards the pool, the main window. False drops below, sticking to where they anchored previously before, contesting on this payload, denying the push into the archway. Vision gets the shutdown though again defensively, and this is now where they start to hold. Deja vu moment all over.
Vision taking down Chopper means that I think that WISP have to, play a little more patiently. They don't want to be over aggressive, especially if they don't know where the sights are on Vision and have a way to counteract him. Tree is able to just volley down Sunjun, and now I think this is where WISP has to make a little bit of a retreat here. I don't think they want to hold too aggressively, but they can just get back to their team and not give up too much space. I think that's the biggest thing, but this is what we saw in our previous series too, Rich, is that when Saints got to this point, they looked like they were unstoppable. Sam's off the map? Oh! Vision got another pick, so it doesn't matter.
Yep. Trade, and I agree with you. Their ability to hold this position is so strong. You have to commend them on the way that they play it. False now, drawing back, has to give space. Flux is active. They maneuver out of it, but actually still grab it. Looks like only one, but the immortality field is there. Neb guaranteeing that WISP still have a chance, a lifeline to move into this. The Dragon Strike, nice move from Sunjun with that dash to get out of the pathway, but everyone else has to retreat. Icy, low, Chopper repositioning, Overclock available. The Ricochet on the wall, making life living hell until that dash is up and able to get out.
Yeah, great disengage. They were able to keep all their members alive, and Saints used quite a bit to try and bring that fight back into even keel. Overclock ready, but Vision gets another pick on the Chopper.
That is so dire. This is a beautiful opportunity for WISP to play into this, but they've unfortunately lost a major factor with Chopper. Transcendence now, going back to the point, guaranteeing that everyone is topped up and healed. The Overclock really isn't gaining anything in this fight, and it's been a loss to shot, but that will be able to turn this back around. Deck melee from Squid gets punished. Trades going through again, another bloodbath as there is only a few meters left to go. Icy still pushing, holding strong. Sam, Icy's just coming out on this Sigma saying, come at me, bro. Vision now, bobbing and weaving. The respawn advantage is here with False specifically going on to the Diva, guarantees that they have the recovery tactic, and the Suzu guaranteeing sustainability.
I mean, what a clutch. I mean, Vega with a huge flank there off the back end. No one was really expecting the Baptiste to be there, and False won't really lose too much. Goes back over to the Sigma. Will get the 25% charge, so it's all good for both of these teams, or for Saints rather, and I feel like I'm just getting deja vu, Rich, where it's like Saints get rolled the first 2 points and then have a Herculean defense here off the back end with Vision just completely taking over right now. 8 limbs, 6 final blows, deadlifting at the current moment for the team.
I'm definitely seeing a second Black Cat walk in front of me as there's 2 minutes now on that clock. Sam looking to hold the window. Sojin runs right into it, and Vision gets the additional shot on the complete opposing side of the map.
With Sunjun going down, I mean, that's a lot of damage that's lost, and Saints, again, win a fight through the complete neutral, which is perfect for them. Sam is able to take down Chopper, who has just not been able to find the value with the sightlines control that Saints have had, and that 5.5-minute timeback has been dwindled down to only 90 seconds, Rich.
The Infrasight also online here for Vision, guaranteeing that they have full awareness of positioning as the time continues to dwindle. All grouped together, connect. Oh, what a volley by Squid! Vision overstaying their welcome and instantly punished, but the Dragon Strike is going to force them out into the open, so Tree can do the same and gets 2! Can they follow now down below? There is some tension near the cart. 60 seconds, this is the final moment, and with Icy down, they have to go back. One last shot here.
Yeah, there's no way they're going to get another recontest without Icy dying that early. Now, everyone has to get back. This is one last chance for the team. Icy has Gravitic Flux. Chopper does take down Vision. That is a big pick. Can WISP, recontest in time with their full members before Vision gets back into this fight?
I mean, the spawn is so quick, and it's also so close. So Vision is now just leaving the doorway to find an angle. It's really going to be whether or not they are not met by either Chopper or Sunjun. Playing down below. You can see the consistent wall ride from Sam on the back, partnered alongside Vision, who has had the infrasight this entire time. The 20 seconds is going to guarantee that they have full duration of knowing where they are. Kinetic Grasp is actually already down below from Icy. The Flux goes in, the accretion lands, and there's a pick though. In return, both Sunjun and Chopper eliminate the supports. They have been completely eradicated from this position. It is a hope and a prayer to come back into this, but there is no way that they can turn this around. Sam is getting one, but it's not enough to deny the completion.
And I mean, if WISP just wiped the sweat off their brow because that huge time bank that they had, they just barely managed to get in overtime. And finally, Vision, I think just with that one pick, like right before the ending fight, Vision taking off of that high ground really, really made it difficult for Saints to hold that defense. And WISP, I mean, they were a freight train in these first 2 points of the map, but they were in molasses in that third part. I think they're very lucky to be able to get out of this one with the full completion.
Yeah, it was almost an indomitable force, realistically, how they played it, and I agree. They did have the spawn advantage to get back into the fight, but could not just quite get into their best positioning to assist so that they could deny that entry from WISP, because Sam had a nice position with the Hanzo, able to get that climb, looking for those arrows, but Vision still playing catch-up, could not plant.
As we go into our second round here, WISP on the defensive end this time. I mean, I did say this before, Rich. We did see these two teams go an extra round on a map like this, so anything is possible with both of these teams. Saints bring in... I wonder if Sam will continue to play this Sojourn. It feels like Sojourn seems like it's the offensive version of like the Hanzo, where you just have a little bit more of that mobility to work forward, and it's not just you continuously shooting those arrows, and especially when you can utilize some of the high grounds effectively and maybe catch Chopper or catch Sunjun off.
4 minutes out the gate. Sam looking to potentially get just enough so that they can look for an early rail, but everyone from WISP is going to play back. No surprise here, respecting this open area on the initial street position. And Icy's been playing this very, very well. Again, still mitigating, but there's what I talked about, generating just enough to get the shot onto Chopper, and defensively, WISP has to be extremely careful now since they don't have that same power.
This is also going to let Vision get completely whatever he wants in terms of the sightlines. He doesn't have to worry about another Widowmaker, and he uses it perfectly. Sunjun gets taken down. Both the DPS members are not here, and WISP are crumbling.
Steps right into the spotlight to gain a second pickup. 3 minutes now, and with this space that they've gained and potentially a very early checkpoint, they will have a massive time bank.
There's going to be a recontest potentially here from WISP. They have even the ability and the sightlines to work with. Actually, Sunjun's back on the Tracer. They really want to hold here, Rich.
They've opted to go for heavy movement to contest it. Sam with the disruptor shot. Nice block for the moment. The dashing comes through. Icy is down. Vega gets the extra damage on top of the Discord. There's no way that they can withstand that amount of applied pressure. Chopper gets something, but again, it's like you get one out of so many others going the other way.
It's just not enough there. And I mean, I get the idea of like going to the Tracer just to try and recontest as best as you can, but now you've lost out on a little bit of that ultimate charge. Specifically, I mean, the Hanzo kind of just like Dragon Strike is it's a good ultimate in terms of just like being able to split teams, maybe not necessarily fight winning, but for Saints, I mean, they're feeling really pretty right now going into the second part of the map. Vega's so close towards that end matrix, way ahead of Neb, and that could be, again, how snowballable it is in positions like this. That just gets them to second point.
And hopefully they'll be able to reduce the time here on this rampway, because if they make another successful push, which was more favorable than you had WISP on the attack, that time bank will be almost insurmountable. With the amplification matrix now placed, they can swing this corner, getting a lot of damage, but the nice wall denies that accretion from landing onto Fall so that they can punish. Stun as well onto Sunjun, so it denies accessibility so low. Icy gives coverage though. Kinetic Grasp holds it. Flux onto the back. Bolt supports. Immortality Field is available. Can they get rid of it before they land? It is picked up, but they are still alive. Neb managing to find value onto Vega Tree. That's going to be a tall task to work through this as a counter flux comes in.
Oh,
can't quite find the shot. Sam can't land it. And you have recovery from Wisp at this defensive position, and this is a perfect opportunity to turn it back.
That's so heartbreaking for Sam right there. I mean, really, if he gets that kill, that fight looks completely different. And Wisp are able to hold a filthy Gravitic Flux from Icy, though. Just getting 3 people, taking down Vega that early. I mean, that was unreal from Icy. And Wisp win that off the back of a single ultimate, Rich. They have 4 in their back pocket. They're looking incredibly clean to be able to hold. They have all the sightlines to work with. And it's going to be like trench warfare where Saints have to move so slowly forward because they have to be so careful about that pick potential from the DPS of Wisp.
And Sam sliding across. Information gained. Vision. Knowing, but now Chopper responds in kind. Very aware, the Dragon Strike down the stair, but Vision gets the pickup onto Sunjun with the accretion landing onto Icy. The Transcendence absolutely needs to be thrown into this, but the counter comes in as well, leading into it. It's a bloodbath again, a 3rd time it seems, as they are all close, face to face, looking down the sightlines. Chopper gets 2, but it still weighs heavily in favor of Saints unless they can turn this around. Sunjun comes in with the Genji and sweeps in with a dash reset, but they can't stop it. Oh my goodness.
So close. I mean, so close. I mean, they're trying to get on. They actually, 10 meters. They actually get back. False can't win this.
They deny it, and they have the probability of returning it, and the Immortality Field gives the extra flux onto it, the damage onto Tree, who is brought down by Chopper. They come back in the brink of time.
How did Chopper and Sunjun do that, Rich? How? I mean, it's inconceivable to me that they were just the lone men there. Sunjun comes in with the Genji, gets 2 picks, and just creates the perfect frame amount of time to be able to get Wisp back into that fight, and what looked like a 2nd point cap completely evaporates for Saints, and now they only have 2 minutes left to work with.
It's a battle of milliseconds, and that's what's been gained by Wisp, and that's heartbreaking for Saints. That was the fastest wall riding I've ever seen in my life. As now they take the op to switch back defensively. Amplification Matrix now down the choke. What was once almost 5 minutes has now dwindled to 1:40. False now, looking for the accretion, just clips the top of the IndyCar, goes for the pickup. Wonderful elimination on that. So this is now, again, another opportunity to reach it, and they will for sure do it this time, but not nearly with as plentiful of a time.
Not a huge amount of time for them, but still 3 minutes is a long time to work with, and we'll see if Wisp can do the same that Saints were doing to them, where with the advantage that you have with these sightlines, specifically if you're a Widowmaker and a Hanzo on the defensive end, you get a lot of room to work with here, and Sam actually not switching off of the Sojourn, sticking to it, so wanting to maybe be a little bit more aggressive and push the potential down onto Chopper and Sunjun as Vision. Oh,
Vision?
Flank. Do they know?
Vision is so
I don't think
stealthily moving underneath.
Hey, he missed the shot.
Oh! The shot goes wide, so now they know. They're aware of it, and you can see the chase. Chopper looking to get him before he escapes. The accretion lands. Immortality Field is there. What a lob from Vega. The assistance from Sam underneath. If they can get the pickup onto Icy, that's disastrous. Now they open it up. They want to complete this. They have only a few meters left.
Vega's just playing discus right now with that Immortality Field. That completely turned the fight for them. You can see Sunjun on the high ground, on the flank, but they know with the sights, all of Wisp split up.
Taps of damage on the high ground. You need Wisp to come in clutch here. Neb gets 1, and that is massive. Now they just have to hold the line, but can't get picked up by Vision, who's looking for a second. As they cross over, Vega counters Chopper, but the Storm Arrow onto Tree is big. Vega now well, never mind. Icy just cleans it up. Bolt supports are down, and you're going to have Wisp able to capitalize one last time, but they've got to drop down and manage to stop it.
Yeah, heart and mouth right there a little bit. As soon as I saw that cart moving and the kill on the kill feed, I was like, oh, there might be a chance, but no chance really. And I mean, when we just look at the alternate economy for this next fight, Rich, Saints do not have anything close. I mean, the biggest thing for me would be Tree gets this Transcendence, Sam gets Overload, or Overclock rather, and Wisp don't find Pater with any of their Gravitic Fluxes. That's the biggest thing. If Tree can hold this Transcendence for after Gravitic Flux, that might be the way back in for Saints here.
And Vision looking with such a ballsy grapple to find value. The high-risk, high-reward, and he gets it! He takes down Chopper, but there's a Dragon Strike in the back. Immortality Field is gone. Sunjun can't afford to go down. Squid actually takes out False. The Discord Orb getting the extra damage. Sunjun finds another. Wisp with now 35 seconds remaining. Don't step out. Neb, don't do it. Don't give in. As Vision, unfortunately unable to do it. They're going to be able to hold with 25.
But I think it's cooked, Rich. I mean, look at everything that Saints used in that fight. Ant Matrix, Transcendence, nothing got value, so that means Icy's going to get the freest Gravitic Flux of his life. Once they lift Vega into the air, Chopper and Sunjun need to take down that member before he gets back down onto the ground and throws Immortality Field.
And with Squid having that Transcendence, it guarantees that they have longevity and sustained healing through that fight no matter what, and Chopper gets vision! And now, in this moment of overtime, it is so devastating and going to be a monumental challenge to work through. Icy with the Flux, Sam low, and gets killed by Squid. Everyone from WISP band together and deny Saints from completing this and want to go again as we enter a final 7th map.
We're going the distance, we're going for speed, Rich. Here again, a 7-map banger between WISP, between Saints. We were hoping we would get the same amount of competition as we got in EMEA. We are being delivered on right now. What a performance, I think, at the end here. Chopper deserves a ton of credit. That vision matchup on Widow is not easy, and he came up big time in a deficit like this on match point.
We have chat to thank for putting all of the spirit energy into this, all the voters, all the predictors, and all of you telling your friends to get here. We're heading into map 7, and you better be adding on Twitter saying, come join, because this one's gonna be unreal as we take a look at these replays. Such stellar and miraculous play from both of these teams, relentless in their pursuit for the Summer Series title. I can't put words to how exhilarated I feel right now.
I mean, it's so fantastic that this is how we're going to end these two narratives between these two teams, right? This rivalry that's building up between them. Vega going up against his old team, Rocket, like WISP trying to redeem themselves after being first and getting knocked down last year very early in the tournament. Saints going for a two-peat, and this was a map that I think Icy stepped up in as well. Icy really took control of that Sigma matchup, a player who is a veteran, who has been kind of that stalwart presence on a team like this. What a way to take your team to a map 7 to try and win a best of 1 to get you your first championship win here on that WISP team.
It was only 1 map differential in the group stage. Now we saw one again in the upper bracket, and it finds itself a 3rd time here in this grand finals. We will be heading to a short break before getting into the final game match point in just a moment. Don't go anywhere.
Are you tired of your teammates holding you back from greatness? Ready to seize the initiative, hit shift, and super jump up the ranks? Or become the envy of support players on every map, game, and round? Well, get ready to take flight with the brand new Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin. Each Mercy skin comes with a brand new, hand-painted, handcrafted, free-range, organic, non-GMO, and side effect-free Valkyrie battlesuit, so you can be in style as you beam up your team. And when your Caduceus stuff isn't enough, there's always the Caduceus Blaster! In order to earn your wings, connect your Battle.net account to Twitch and tune in during the Overwatch Contenders Finals on August 29th and 30th to claim your exclusive Contenders Mercy skin. So, what are you waiting for? Suit up and join the fight in your Overwatch Contenders Mercy skin.
Why, hello there. I hope you brought more friends, because this one is going to be unreal for a finish, as we have this Summer Series 2023 going to conclude. We have to just talk back to this, Kenobi. We've been talking about it consistently throughout the day. Now we can really take it home here as we revisit the standings and just how close these two truly match up over the history.
I mean, you can look at it right there. 8-3, same record, just one map in the differential separating these two teams. And we can, look at the bracket too and how we've gotten here. Saints versus WISP played each other earlier in the bracket. Saints almost got the reverse sweep, but just were barely not able to cross that hurdle. WISP with a great map 5 to clutch it out. And now we're going the distance again between both of these teams. It feels like it's poetic justice right now for both these teams to go this far, a map 7 all the way with how close they've been. It feels like throughout the entirety of the season, with even the changes that we've seen, bring Vision in more consistently. Now, in that last map, finally having Neb in for the first time. These mid-set adaptations have been so incredible for both of these teams. And I feel like as we go into our last map, we have an idea what it is. It is Push. It is going to be Esperanza, where we're going to be ending it all. I think EMEA ended on this map too, if I'm not mistaken.
I believe you're correct on that one. Yeah.
Correct. Okay.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. Prod always in our ear, saving our butts.
We usually have it where like EMEA or NA gets like the better like grand final and more competitive. It's the same. We got both 7 map bangers, and we've given, I think, almost the perfect amount of time for everyone to get their Mercy skins. Right? I think they've probably gotten it if they've been watching from the start of this series. Right? Like
right.
You've definitely got it right now, and if you don't, time machines will exist at some point,
Yeah, let's only hope. Again, it's just one of those things where now you have, like all things in life, there's a learning opportunity, and that's why you should continue to support Tier 2 as early as you can. But yes, you can just looking at this map set, like just visually taking in this graphic, it's so amazing to see how back and forth this was, and also how one-sided it might have seemed at the start. Yes, really combative when it came to control, but Midtown, Watchpoint, dire straits for WISP. Then coming in, turning it about, giving up one, and finding themselves in an even keel, as we do have confirmation that there are player substitutions here. And again, these are the final decisions. And we talked about it actually a little bit before going into the previous one. Do they take the risk of bringing in Neb and making these adjustments? Now, with the number of subs we have, this is even more of an elevated risk.
And I think this is... WISP are going to go out swinging with like their style of composition, right? They're bringing in Mateball. That tells me Lucio. It's going to be Lucio 100%. Rocket's going to be potentially on something like the Tracer. Riker's in to play most likely Junker Queen on the back end of this. There is the potential to play Orisa too, and maybe we have an honorable Winston Mirror to close out this season of NA Contenders, which I feel like is a little bit unlikely. More likely now with Mikey in, but to me, this is like WISP kind of about to play to their style and maybe catch the enemy team off guard, right? Because this is not... Maple hasn't been in yet, and the tempo that you're going to bring with a Lucio is something the Saints might have to kind of reckon with, because Vega's going to be on Lucio too, which I think is very good, but that high-speed tempo, especially if you're bringing a Junker Queen to the table and like maybe a Symmetra, it's a lot to deal with. It is a lot of mental RAM to be able to survive those engages onto you.
So many factors are going to boil to the surface here, and it will be going from a simmer to a full-on engulfing boil as we watch going into this map Push, where realistically, when we talk about this one specifically, gaining that initial bot take and maneuvering towards that archway to take the high ground, to hold those angles, to anchor at that position, it's going to be so important to play this. And I wouldn't be surprised if there is that somewhat hesitancy or patience looking to try and gain the advantage when that small marginal window is open for the team to dive in on and take the advantage.
I mean, it's nerve-wracking, right? Like one mistake, especially on control, when you have like such advantages, and you can really just kind of use momentum to like take the bot really far. Like one singular mistake, one misuse of an ult, something like that could just end your series altogether. I mean, we saw that earlier in EMEA, where it's just like one misstep and you just completely lose the series, where you could have potentially beaten, Twisted Minds, which was a team that was like about to lose. It's just those small, minute things, and it all comes down to this one singular map of Esperanza. It is the map pick of this Saints team So we'll see how they're going to be playing on it, because it's a map that they're very comfortable with, obviously, but I don't know if there's necessarily a huge advantage given the fact that WISP is going to be coming out on this style of composition that seems like, hey, we're comfortable with this, we're going to throw it on the gauntlet with you exactly like we're doing.
And with this type of map as well, we have a guaranteed 10-minute time slot to work with. You know, adding a little bit of overtime, which could
unless someone full
caps.
But
that's what I mean. Yeah, unless someone full caps, which would be mesmerizing to see. It would be what a way to end it, absolutely. But we have a finite amount of time to know what this outcome is going to be, and we truly have been blessed. As we've mentioned, we've seen this blow for blow across the regular season into playoffs. Now, in the moment that it matters most, where tensions are so high, and you have to give credit, no matter what the outcome is for this final map, to all of these individuals and everyone that has been a part of it, because this has truly been an impeccable show and really representing the talent that we have within Tier 2.
Yeah, I think that this has been, I mean, I can't remember a day where it was like this competitive throughout the entirety of the both grand finals. Like, this has been, you know, in EMEA, in here in NA, there's just so much talent. This is such a great tournament, I think, as well, because a lot of the time there was a lot of parity, right? Where it's like, is SR Peak Check going to be able to finally topple Twisted Minds? They were so close, you know, is Saints going to be able to get their, you know, two-peat, back-to-back? Is WISP going to be able to redeem themselves after what happened, getting first so convincingly in the last season and then bustering out early in the tournament? Like, there's a lot of good storylines and good narratives with some really fantastic players, and I think that we are definitely deserving of 2 7-mappers today in, you know, in the contender scene.
And they want to break the time loop. That's something that would be so monumental for them, for WISP, to be able to claim this victory and finally get what is well deserved. Even as we got to talk with Vega earlier, getting to know that they're facing off against their previous team players themselves, now going into this, as we are just giving them a moment to, I guarantee you, even right now, like, they're all just kind of having a moment in comms to say, like, let's embrace this. Let's acknowledge what this is right now, and then give it everything we have, as we have 10 seconds to go before we can start getting an inkling of what they will bring to the table.
And it really will be interesting to me where these tank selections go, because we saw Riker in on control against Mikey, and it was kind of the mono, it was like the Winston versus the Junker Queen. I don't think I expect that here. Winston used to be very good on this map, but with, you know, kind of the changes to the meta, hasn't necessarily been the same type of deal. It'd be super interesting to me if we just saw Orisa mirror, which is not something I would have been expecting with these two in the lineup, because you could have, you know, I think Mikey being in on Orisa is fine, but like, Riker, you could have just had Icy on Orisa here in a situation like this, but it looks like this is going to be what we're looking with. And Vision on the I was going to say on the patented Symmetra, but switching it over to the Soldier 76 offers a little bit more of that sustained damage and that flanking potential that we saw on the last push map. But Chopper and Rocket still have some potential of spam themselves. Chopper with that one-shot potential on that Sojourn. We know how good he's been throughout this series. A lot of my eyes are going to be on Chopper, potentially finding those key picks throughout all of the damage.
And again, the big thing here is because Vision just goes on that small Symmetra play for the teleporter, positional advantage goes in favor of Saints. They have that angle and also more room to wiggle with, even gaining the first few initial meters to put that bot towards the wall. Aggressing forward into this, Vision goes down though. Chopper finds it when Vision was already initially low. They're still giving up space. The reposition now to get close to the support so that they can top Chopper back up to resume, putting out that damage onto Sam. They get them low, but still look to regroup. Beautiful disruptor shot to get that extra chip damage, and you have WISP. Despite them giving 2+ more meters, they will take this initial fight.
And the thing about this Saints composition is that if Vision is not able to get any value off the flank, they just lose the sustainability fight, right? Kiriko does not offer the same amount of healing of something like a Baptiste, and you're going to see Tree just go over to it. I mean, this felt like Saints at the start just wanted to see if they could find a pick and just break the fight open, but now they've given up. Positioning, the high ground is going to be so important for Chopper right here, being able to just spray down and potentially find those rail shots and WISP gain even more momentum.
Sam transitioning through that area. Oh no, another pickup onto Vega. Chopper has absolutely been coming online more and more, and right here is a perfect example of it. WISP right now on this map are absolutely pushing against Saints.
I mean, they're absolutely taking over, and this is going to be a first point cap. I don't think that there's a way for Saints to get back here and try and contest in time. Vision is on an Omega flank right now. I mean, this is what Soldier kind of has to do in these situations, but they're going to give over that first checkpoint, and Vision is just going to try and posture here so that he can maybe just take them back away from that point, and he has to run and get out of dodge very quickly here.
And now this duel, a flanking maneuver, everyone swarms him. So that's, again, numbers advantage is you're going to have Wisp cycle back, and they've got such movement. Yeah.
They get back on the high ground. Overclock is coming in from Chopper too.
Looking to pick them away. Oh, instantly gets rid of both the Immortality Field and Tree within one swoop. Magic 8-Ball gains another, and this is precision from Wisp.
Wisp are looking so clean right now. Saints looking a little bit disjointed. I mean, coming back in with 5 ultimates is going to be something that they can use to potentially stop the bleeding here, but it's already such a huge advantage for this Wisp team. Chopper on the flank has 85, 90, has the rail shot.
Chopper can play very aggressive, as we've seen, having the advantage. Vision gets Javelin for the moment, so now needs to be cautious in how they go back into it. But 5 ultimates online here for Saints. They need to be very cognizant in how they utilize these for the long run. First, it's going to be one with that beautiful Terra Surge into the Molten Core, but Chopper still gets Tree. They maneuver out of it. The damage isn't there. Wisp is absolutely crushing this right now, and they're rotating back into it. Chopper is getting free reign of this with Squid alongside them.
And it's a 4-ult fight that gets absolutely nothing from Saints. They used everything, and it's still to no avail, whereas Wisp, 8-Ball playing on the complete knife's edge, getting the Soundbreaker off with like 20 health in their back pocket, and Wisp now, look at them. They have such an advantage when it comes to that ultimate economy, and I love this decision, Rich. They just go back to that high ground knowing that, hey, now you gotta come to us. You gotta walk through this complete gauntlet of the high ground that we have, and it's just gonna create so much time for us.
And now here's Vision on the Symmetra. This was the ace in the hole when times were dire. Will it be enough for them to do it here as well? As Sam and Tree fall in suit. Chopper is absolutely controlling this lobby with 19-20 eliminations and 0 deaths.
Chopper is going completely no one's able to stop Chopper in these scenarios. I mean, it has to be Sam, realistically, that tries to get over to him, but the peel has been so good. His understanding of when to use this shift also so great, and the overclock is available. Half of the map is already gone, Rich, and Wisp are in such a controlling position right now that it'll take a miracle, I think, for Saints to come back in this one.
Ant Matrix have to now commit this Tree with that window. Gives them some space, but Wisp can just fall back. What a pull! And the Terra Surge is going to make their health so low. Vision goes down. They're going to come back in tenfold, and you talked about how much distance is already gained, and at this rate, it might continue to dwindle.
Oh, Overclock is available too. Right, Mikey is dead. That means they're not available in this next fight. Overclock is here, but they don't need it, Rich. Wisp are cleaning up this fight without having to use any ultimates.
This is now blood boiling for Wisp. They are absolutely just channeling every ounce of strength they have. They want to close this out as a win and also with a completion.
I mean, Saints are, right now Wisp are saying this can be anticlimactic. We don't really care. We're trying to get this done and dusted. We want that championship. We want our redemption. Saints have nothing to work with in this next fight. And Overclock is still available for Chopper. Molten Core is available. Saints have no way, unless they just win in the neutral, to win this fight.
Saints need to make sure that they get something from the heavens above to be able to turn this around. Beautiful Molten Core onto the bridgeway and below if they look to enter in onto it. Sam getting 1 is magnificent for them, but Molten Core gets 2. Rocket lighting them up with those flaming hot Cheetos and getting a quad.
I mean, that's gotta feel great for Rocket too, because he's been on the opposite end of a lot of the Torbjorn when he was playing Tracer, now gets to play the Torbjorn himself and wipes this team fight completely. And throughout all of that, look, Rich, the cart was moving, the bot was moving, look how far it's gotten.
It's already swiveled the corner. They are only a few meters away from not only victory, but completing this map, but still 3 minutes and 45. It is a blade that's active. Sam uses it more to follow up onto the supports, finally getting rid of Magic 8-Ball and their mobility, chasing down, but there are still Wisp members that are able to just fall back and look for another neutral.
I mean, Saints, 3.5 minutes left. It is not a lot of time to work with. Wisp have total control. They're also going to have control of these high grounds. Saints have to play perfectly from here on out.
Chopper holding onto the overclock. Photon barrier comes in, divides the room for the moment. They're really utilizing it to their benefit as there's a great sound barrier to come in from Magic 8 Ball. Covered onto 3. Chopper is still alive, falling back even further. They can give plenty of ground here because they have more than enough space to offer for Saints to look for a re-engagement.
Yeah, they do want to be a little bit careful, though. They don't want to give up this high ground for free, and you can see actually Squid and Mateball are juggling it by themselves. Chopper's able to get on that high ground, and Matrix comes out. Vision gets obliterated.
Oh my goodness, you can see once again Chopper seeming as if we could say the MVP player in this final map, as there will be overwhelming numbers again. Mikey alone in the immortality field, but once it's gone, so is their life. And now again, Wisp take the advantage with 2:30 left on the clock.
And what I love to see from Wisp here is just to take the bot over towards this high ground, just leave it there and get back on high ground and just force Saints to walk into you with all of this punishment you're going to have. And I think that's exactly what they're going to do. They're going to leave the bot here, take control of the high ground as best as they can. Even if it's not this one and the one behind it, that's totally fine as well.
Fully regrouped. Now that they're back at a 5, Saints hesitant to push into this. Really, the only ultimate that they have to their advantage is going to be Tree with the amplification matrix, but it still won't be a very easy site to use since they're so maneuvered around, completely swarming Saints. Vega eliminated a Terra Surge to pull them in and put them 10 feet under. A minute 50 and a team kill comes through.
And Vision has gone over to that Sojourn, but Rich, it might be too little too late here. Wisp are exerting their dominance. A minute and 30 seconds left, and there's no room for error for Saints anymore, right?
No.
They need to literally win 5 fights in a row to come back into this one, and they don't have any ultimates to work with. There's a Molten Core on the other side to make it even more difficult to chew through. This is going to be so difficult for Saints.
They have to press into this. They need to get the advantage. The Molten Core is going to stifle them with Chopper getting 1. Magic Meatball is down. The trades come through back and forth. It is still Wisp able to dominate as the Molten Core slows this push forward. They take the fight again.
Tree goes down, and Wisp, I think, are just going to move this bot forward and then just retreat. There's no reason for you to really push this one even further, and I think that's exactly what they're going to do. Actually, Riker is sticking along by its side, but they're just going to push it as much as they can. Now they're going to retreat back up to that high ground. Give Chopper and Rocket a good positioning angle to be able to spam from on high.
How will they play this corner? Seeing what they can gain as Riker has full control of the moment. So much damage being funneled into Mikey. Needs to be perfect with their cooldown usage to survive what they can bring to this. The sound barrier. Oh, Vision! Literally 1 HP! The immortality field is there to keep them topped up, though. There is at least a takedown, and the Molten Core guarantees another. Chopper takes down Tree, though. Sam comes in big with a quad kill themselves, as we saw from Rocket, and that's the first of every other fight they need to win.
I mean, Sam comes in insanely huge with a 5K at the end of that one with a flanking Molten Core, and it's overtime right now for Saints. And I don't know how they're going to be able to do this one. This is going to be so difficult for them to even maneuver through in this overtime. They still have a checkpoint to work through. Luckily, they might get a high ground, Rich. That could be their only way back in.
And even when they get the high ground, they have to work through the checkpoint. Tree is very low. The immortality field no longer going to give them coverage. Saints now rotating back. The overclock from Vision has to be massive. Amplification Matrix contributed into this, but has to drop down below, sticking towards the bot. They cannot leave this Javelin to force them away, but still having an angle underneath. Overclock is active. Chopper is 1 HP, but the sound barrier comes in. Squid is gone. They're solely reliant now onto Magic Maple. This is great for Saints to come back into this. They're going to clean up and now look to get this checkpoint, and that's enough time that they should be able to have for this bot to reach it and even get the butt scratch.
And they got to string together a couple more fights like that right now if they're going to want to have a chance at winning this one. There is going to be that checkpoint. More time is being taken right now. Wisp can come back into this one. Ant Matrix is going to be available for Squid, but that's realistically all they're going to be able to have. Sam is much quicker towards this Molten Core, and Molten Core and Terra Surge combo is insanely lethal. It's really going to have to be Wisp potentially finding a pick in the neutral or with that Ant Matrix, but it's all to play for.
Javelin onto Sam. Nice return, knocking Riker back so they can't continue to hold this anchor. Rocket needs to be extremely careful, though. Both supports hiding up onto the high ground to guarantee that they can continue funneling in support onto both Rocket and Riker. Again, the overtime has been extensive. They cannot afford to step away from this, which is going to make it even more challenging. As you can see, Mikey continuing to pitter-patter forward and back to guarantee they keep it within contention. Amplification Matrix, the Javelin now going to push them back. Molten Core, the pull, going to get them far enough away. It gets one onto Magic Maple. The utility is now gone, but Riker takes down Mikey. They've lost their tank. There wasn't enough to keep them going. The overtime is still active. They've moved away from it, but the Molten Core is going to completely ensnare that bot. They can't get back to it. They're going to look to take it over. Rocket with the Molten Core, lighting them up, and Wisp with a burning fire that blazes within them has able to come back and take this championship title for the Summer Series of 2023.
Wisp get their redemption. They deny the salty run back of Saints, and the team that got first in the last tournament, this time finally able to cross that hurdle at the end. Wisp in a 7-map banger are able to take this one, and I have to give an incredible amount of props specifically to Chopper. Chopper was unreal this series. Insane on the Sojourn, just being able to pop off those first couple of fights were all the momentum that the Wisp team needed to win. And on a team where you have Rocket, where you have Sunjun, for Chopper to have this type of performance against Sam and Vision, what an absolute MVP performance from him.
In the moments when it matters most, as we said before going into this, Wisp come back after what seemed like a motivational, defeating outcome from two significantly blunderous losses. Everyone falls in suit, and they truly show why they were in such a top seed prior. In the group stages, with only one map close, and being able to continue working their way through this winner's bracket. Hats off to everyone, as we said, going into this final 7th map, but my goodness, Wisp are legends right now.
I mean, Wisp, it's got to be feeling so good for them, right? Just the heartbreak of that previous season. Now coming in here knowing that you have to face probably the toughest team in the bracket against you that almost reverse swept you, and this was a complete back and forth map. I mean, we talked about it, Rich. Map 1 was like very close. Map 2 and 3, absolute stomps. And for Wisp to come back on that one Coliseum map and bring it back to even keel, that was probably the turning point, I think, for this team. I mean, it was just, and Chopper, again, not only on this map, going up against Vision on Circuit Royale as well. Like, I think this was a great performance. Everyone else deserves credit. Riker coming in kind of just to play on Orisa, where like Icy was playing it. Icy himself in that Circuit Royale, playing incredibly well on that Sigma duel. Like, everyone on this team of Wisp really stepped up their stuff. All the subs that came in, just absolutely impeccable performance from them, and they are deserving champions.
Absolutely, and I want to piggyback off that again, where you talk about, you know, allowing the swap up from Icy onto Riker. Having the confidence to say, you're going in, and you are going to set the tone, and you are going to hold on to this. Whereas it could have been Icy.
To play Orisa, where it's like,
but that's what I mean.
Been playing it. Yeah,
that's what I mean.
It's insane that they had that confidence in Riker to be able to do that, and we talked with Riker in the group stages, a lot of confidence in that player as well. But this team, I mean, a lot of trust is given to each other, I feel like.
Now we can have a sigh of relief and a moment for our hearts to settle and flutter as we go to a brief break before talking with a pair of individuals from the victorious team in our interview. So don't go anywhere, friends, because I know they have to be elated.
There are days I will always remember, when the sun and the world were bright. Solar energy filled all our needs, but only a few could bring the sun's power into themselves. These were the Inti warriors, but we call them the children of the sun. They aided our people in so many ways, as providers, healers, and in times of danger, our protectors. I was always told I would become a warrior, a big responsibility, but I had a gift that could help my people. So, I trained. At last came the day they said I was ready to join their ranks and embrace the sun. There are days I will always remember. Was it my fault that no one knew the true extent of my power? To this day, I still don't understand what I did wrong. But it doesn't matter anymore. I will make up for what I've done. Because I am Iliari, and I am the last child of the sun.
We return, my friends, and there's part of me that almost wishes you could hear the amount of just excitement and the breathing and the tempo trying to take down the energy, but we have two glorious players here from the WISP squad who have fought tooth and nail to get to this point and claimed a final title that is long overdue. Rocket and Chopper, my friends, you killed it right now, literally.
Dude, no, it feels so good, man. Chopper played one of the best maps probably the best map I've ever seen him play. I pressed tab halfway through. This guy's 35-1. I'm like, okay, well, we just win. Like, I've never seen such a dominant performance from this guy ever.
Hey, for context, he ended 41, 14, and 3. Like, top damage in the lobby for this was absolutely incredible. And I mean, I can't think of probably like two people I'd rather talk to right now on a WISP team with how long you guys have been on this team, how long you've been playing together as a DPS duo. Like, we'll get to like kind of the ending like feelings of it, but let's talk through the series first a little bit about how it went. Like, because you come out like Control is relative. I think you probably expected that it was going to be Saints coming into this one.
Yeah, for sure.
You come into Control. Control is like relatively close, and then the next two maps happen. They're not close. They're not close at all. Who is kind of the one in your team that's like keeping you guys even keeled? Because it feels like there are teams that could just kind of be like, oh man, we're down so bad right here. But you guys came back on that Coliseum and really strutted your stuff.
Well, I'll go ahead and start. But I think, I mean, those losses were especially Midtown. I mean, Midtown, for me personally, I mean, we were kind of, I think we were stuck in a situation where we have to prep for both teams. And I think part of and a lot of our Midtown setup and strategy was to play into Pip's double sniper compositions, not necessarily the Torb and Widow, which Saints rolled out on. So I think we kind of just like, we're kind of stuck for a while. But I mean, luckily Icy and some of our coaches came in the end and really helped us, stay motivated, especially when we were down. I mean, I got picked 3 times in 1 minute on Midtown, and they.
I won't tell you the stats for Midtown. Don't worry.
Yeah,
let's actually not say the stats for Midtown. Let's
that map didn't even happen. Yeah. That map didn't even happen.
I already forgot about it.
So Chopper, you were saying that, or correction, Rocket. So you were saying that. So Chopper, what are your kind of thoughts going into it again? Like each of you independently. So I know we got Rocket's perspective on it and denying that map even happened. So what about you?
To what map?
Just in general.
No, exactly.
Yeah, just in map. Just in general. Like with like feeling how that shift happened. Like, did you really feel like there was like a real in moment that you were able to start really coming as like a level head?
I'd say like the first half was definitely like I would describe it as low energy. Like even though we won the first map, like I could tell like we were probably nervous. Like we weren't playing as clean as we could be, we weren't like hitting every shot, which is, it's fine, but like I think that Midtown, and especially after the Gibraltar, it was just like a wake-up call that like we, it could be one of the last seasons in Contenders, and we really need to try and communicate. And I think Coliseum was really good for that, and just kept going. And I don't know, we just locked in. I don't know what else to say. Yeah.
I mean, so walk me through a little bit about Coliseum, because it was like, it's like you're down 2-1. If you lose this one, it's like very difficult to come back from. And it starts, and Saints are like running the table in the first 3 minutes. Then you guys like make an adaptation to like Chopper. You start like going on the flanks a little bit, trying to match what Saints are doing, and you guys start like running the table. Is there someone like in your team that's like saying like, hey, what if we like swap to this? Is it like, you know, icy, or is it kind of like a you're feeling it out type thing, being the DPS, where it's like, if I can play Soldier here, I know I can match them?
I'll start this one off because I remember the first like maybe minute or 2 minutes of Coliseum. I'm pretty sure I was just like 0-3 with like 100 damage, and like I just knew I just had to swap at that point.
We won't use the
won't show
real
the stats
stats,
of that
but
either.
we'll let you know, perceive that the way.
Yeah, I mean, you know, coming into this grand finals, obviously we have like our set comp. You know, we practiced these comps in our scrims and we play them in matches, and we're used to them. But personally, and I told this to my team too, I knew going into grand finals that it wasn't going to be like clean, and it was going to be like messy and a dogfight, and that we're going to have to take risks and change our heroes and change our playstyle and not play how we usually do, because I mean that's what it takes to win. You need to be able to adapt. So I think after Coliseum, even after Coliseum, we played Oasis and we kind of got rolled, but we really locked in on Circa, knowing if we didn't win that map, we were out. And then especially for Esperanza, I don't remember the last time we played Lucio on that comp. We actually we play like dive with like Genji Tracer. And we just said, let's just mirror on Orisa.
Let's bring in
with
Maypal,
Hiscan
the
Lucio.
super sub.
Yeah,
Super sub
Maypal
Maypal.
literally just does not play Lucio on that map, and we just went with it and it worked out.
High risk, high reward indeed. So Rocket, again, because we mentioned a little bit, yes, there were some challenges that you were facing over the course of this, but once it came to the later part of it, and you all seem to have dialed in, just like Chopper had said, you know, going now onto this Torbjorn and adapting to that, wavering away from, you know, the Tracer, was it feeling a lot more just on point for you? Did you have a lot more confidence in bringing that to the table?
Yeah, I mean, I think over the maps, and like you kind of saw, like I feel like as a team and vocally especially, we kind of locked in on Coliseum. For me on the team, like in my role is like I'm a very vocal, very present vocally. Whether it be ult tracking, fight planning, just everything. Since Sanjun, you know, obviously doesn't have the best English, and we won't have our main support in, right? So I'm there to fill up a lot of the vocal presence. So when I'm playing Tracer, you know, getting stuffed by a Torb or Genji on Gibraltar in Midtown, I'm just like, I can't really get a good read of the fight, and so our comms kind of like took like a big hit. But once I'm playing Torb, you know, I'm just sitting in the back of my chair, just like throwing Cheetos down choke, like it's super chill. So I mean, after a while, I'm just like, well, I think we'll beat this team if we, you know, like talk to each other and like play really smart. And to do that, I think we need a lot of like to step up vocally. And so I kind of was like, I'm just ready to play Torb, bro. Like we were talking about going into SP, like, do you want to play Tracer? I'm like, nah, just let me play Torb, man. It was so free. But yeah, and also shout out to yeah, like Chopper was saying, shout out to Magic for coming in on the map 7. With
clutch.
Yeah,
Super
literally
sub.
just clutch.
I actually don't think Magic played a single map until then.
I don't think
didn't play a single map.
I don't think he did.
Yeah,
That's how you hold
super
clutch.
sub. I mean,
Yeah,
literally
right.
super sub.
Yeah, everyone.
Yeah,
all the subs
Riker
came
coming in was
so clutch.
I mean, you guys like the way that you maneuvered your team around, specifically in this one, because like we were also wondering, like, you played Sunjun, I think, a significantly more amount this series than like you had in previous ones, where like Neb was coming in a lot of time, but like Neb would come in, like do his thing. When you guys were like finally at this map 7, and it's like a best of 1, and Chopper just starts going gangbusters on people, like, is that, when did it like finally start to set in for you guys that like this was going to be the one that like finally got you over?
I mean, I think I'll start this one as well. I mean, you kind of saw them transition comp by comp. Like they started out on the Kiriko. I think they were prepping for me on Tracer. They started out on Torb, Soldier, Kiriko, Lucio. Like the opposite thing you want to play Tracer into, right? And then they slowly shifted. They tried Sim, they tried Soldier, they tried up and mirroring at the end. And I think once we saw them like start to, you know, fall apart and switch their composition, it was like, okay, this is really happening right now, right? This is legit. Like this is serious. And you know, Riker coming in too. Wasn't so successful on his first 2 maps, but came in like 3rd map just ready, like with the fire. You know, it's like, I think this is probably the only team in Contenders in such a long time that has been able to utilize all of our substitutes. Like we have an 8-man roster, 7-man roster, and every single sub gets equal playtime. It's like ridiculous how much, you know, together we all contribute. And I think like in the end, that's what it came down to, right? Our subs coming in and Chopper turning it up to 11. So
Well, I know that there's a lot of things that you're going to be celebrating tonight. I know we've got a couple more questions. I had a little birdie in the wings ask me to ask Rocket about collegiate. So I, with not knowing anything about that, am going to have to ask that question out of respect for this individual. So talk to me. Talk to me.
Sure. I mean,
getting leaks.
Yeah, we might get a little teaser. I mean, so for right now with the future of Contenders and the year being kind of unforeseen, a core of the WISP roster is actually going to play together in collegiate under Fisher College.
Nice.
Riker, Neb. Yeah, no, we're super pumped to stick. No matter what happens with tier 2, sticking the core boys together, or at least the WISP family. It's this isn't the end for us, so we'll me, Riker, and Neb will see y'all in collegiate. So,
all right,
that's amazing to hear. I'm really glad.
Sure.
I had no idea. Looking forward to it. I had no idea where that question was going, but I'm glad that it went.
Hey, we got leaks. Let's go. We got the info here on the Contenders broadcast, but to kind of wrap this up for you and Chopper, because this has been, I feel like, a very long time coming for you guys, right? Over a year of playing together. A lot of second places, a lot of and especially after last season, I think, where you were first in the group stages, you bust her out of the tournament a little early. Yeah. Then you come back into this tournament. I think you guys were second or third, I think, in the standings. Not necessarily the same dominance you had beforehand, but now finally winning against you ran a really good road to get here. You had to beat Saints, you had to beat Pirates in Pajamas, you beat Saints twice also. What does it feel for you as a team and as a duo, as a DPS duo, to finally get that championship that you guys have been working so hard to get?
Yeah, this Chopper.
Well, I know Rocket's going to collegiate and stuff, but for me personally, I was kind of planning on, going more of the IRL path after this season and going to school, especially with all the league stuff and whatever's happening over there. And so I was playing this was going to be my last season in Contenders, and obviously, I had expectations that we could win, but I still can't believe it now, and I think it's actually an insane way to. And I might still play in school, but it's really hard. I started school 2 weeks ago. It's already pretty difficult, and I don't think there could be a better ending for me and Rocket, and all of WISP, and the people who stuck through it, and all the new additions. And yeah, I still can't believe it.
Well, major congratulations, and no matter what path is ahead of you, this is a moment that you can always have for you, your fellow players, and even though there's going to be trials and tribulations, you were able to overcome this one, and I guarantee you're going to be able to take on many more, my friend. So it's just exciting to be able to have the chance to chit chat with you.
Of course, I appreciate it. Chopper, bro, I love you, bro. I love you. Let's go. Thank you guys so much,
bro.
Congrats, guys.
Enjoy your victory, your celebration, and lavish in it, my friends. Thank you so very much. Oh, Kenobi, what a pair of individuals that couldn't have been a better
literally
moment.
The perfect. I don't think there was anyone else I wanted to talk to than the duo that has been together for so long. Playing together through different metas, through different trials and tribulations. I talked about it going back to when they faced Odyssey last year, that's when Chopper and Rocket were really kind of starting to come up. Got second in that tournament last season. I talk about how they were so good and then just weren't able to really do anything with that first place finish that they had. And then this year to go through the bracket that they did, beat Saints twice, beat Pirates in Pajamas, I think that they kind of cement themselves as being very deserving of this title. And you can see the bracket and how these teams got here. I really am just so happy for the entirety of the WISP organization. Very happy for Chopper and for Rocket as well. I think that if there's a brotherly love DPS duo story, that's probably the best one that we had.
It really is. We can have this one more time on the main screen, the broadcast, to be forever remembered. WISP taking this victory for that 2023 Summer Series Championship. A long, as you mentioned, overdue, I would say, and just a stellar group of individuals throughout today, this season, and what we've seen historically for them. And, you know, we had that little touch on the collegiate aspect of it, and we can once again promote it because that was a perfect segue to do so. Again, we do have the Overwatch Collegiate Homecoming 2023. I know it may be a little bit frightful to think that WISP, a team like this, is going to be participating. I know that that's one end of the spectrum, but the other end of the spectrum is that you do still have an opportunity to sign up and register by midnight Pacific time on September 4th, open to students both within the United States and Canada, where you can also, as players, exclusively gain the icon and the spray, and of course, all playing for that coveted prize money, which is $75,000, all at that link, which is going to be start.gg uphill /
They can play against Rocket.
Collegiate. Yeah, they might want to try and put their competition against Rocket. They could try and bring some Cheetos to their own game. Oh goodness. But yes, overall it has been an absolute pleasure. All of us here, all of us duos, Moxie, Dustin, Hurix, Door, the entire staff, you, I, everyone on this adventure for Summer Series has been an absolute privilege and has been able to bring us flourishing excitement through and through, start to finish. And there's no other person I'd like to be alongside my friend to do this. It's been a pleasure, Kenobi. It really has. Yeah, I know, right?
I mean, goodness. Hey, we used our voodoo on the last, so I hope everyone got their Mercy skins. But we gave you 7 maps. And the first map was, you know, not as close, but we gave you 7 maps here at the very end. But yeah, it's been an amazing tournament. Loved everything, you know, kind of getting these finals that we had in EMEA, in NA. This was such a close tournament, and there was so much parity, and I felt like anyone could win, but I think we got a really good winner on both sides of the pond. And you're right, there's no one I would have rather been here with than you, so it was an incredible season. I can't wait to see what happens next.
And I know that we've bought as much time as possible for you to get your skins.
We're really trying.
So for those, we're really trying, but also being able to give a wonderful fond farewell, at least for now. We don't know exactly what's ahead of us, but you know what? It's always a good time to have all of you here tuning in. So we hope you have a wonderful rest of your night. Take care, happy gaming, and until we see you next time.